If you've ever become a bobsled or luge expert overnight because of the Olympics, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And welcome back, folks, to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Tuesday, February 10th edition as we continue to press on here with this week. We've got more corporate earnings. We have a slew of economic data prints today, including some delayed ones because of the partial government shutdown. It's a T3 Tuesday, and perhaps most importantly, we are going to have some fun here today. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope that the rest of your Monday went well. It's starting to warm up here in Chicago. I've got a temperature here of 39. I don't think I've seen north of 40 since December. It's been months. So we'll see if that warming trend continues here. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for February 10th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. As mentioned in the open, I hope that your Monday was wonderful. And I hope that you're ready to go here for Tuesday because we got day 2 of the week on tap right now. And we are going to start it off with a bang, as we always do. Peter is first here today. Peter says, good morning. I can't believe how warm it is here. Shots again today. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and Peter's out here planning shots. That is, I told you Tuesday was going to be a spicy day. Peter is leading us off here. Absolutely love the King energy out there right now. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle. G morning. I like that. G morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you again. Tahir, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. It's good to see you as always. MIJ, good morning. Welcome back. It's really fun to be here in the playbook. Here's one of the reasons it's so fun is because everybody that's here is part of the playbook. The market and all of its participants, all of the market participants make up the market. You're part of that. So we're going to get you as prepared as possible. You are part of the show. Don't forget that. That goes for everybody out here. Brian, good morning. Zach McCracken, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Yes, that girl, welcome back and good morning. Brian says, what is your favorite coffee brand? Brian, I don't think I was prepared for such a great question this morning. I would say my favorite coffee brand for like beans is Peet's. Shout out Major Dickinson's blend. It's incredible. The French roast is also good. And then I would say for single serve, I'm an espresso guy. That's Nespresso. I like to make an Americano out of a big espresso shot using the pods. I normally do 2 of those a day. Really good question. I did not think I was going to get that one here today. Peet's and Nespresso is how I would answer. Wisdom, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, were you able to find the happy hour yesterday? I also placed the registration link in the happy hour chat room. So if you couldn't see the blue banner at the bottom, there was still a way to access it. Let me know if you're having trouble with that. Wisdom's out here talking about breakfast pizza that includes mango guacamole. I don't know that I've ever had mango guacamole. Not sure if I would be able to do that here in the morning, but we'll see. Anyway, nice to see you, Wisdom. Glad you bringing those positive vibes here today. Producer, you're the best. You already know that. Krizip Biscuit. So is it K-Riz-Zimp Biscuit? I keep calling you Crimp Biscuit because that's what it used to be, and that's what I remember. But is it K-Riz? Is it Krizip? Krizipip? I don't know. You'll have to tell me, but it's awesome. Zach says, Playboy was placed on Ryan on purpose. Brian, I've been on Pete's myself. All right. Good stuff there. Crispy biscuit is what it is. Okay, I might need some more Nespresso here today. Or Pete's. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Richard Judge, like that commercial with the camel on hump day, except for likes. Let's get it done. Neville, good morning. Welcome back. Judge, of course, it's great to see you there. Buffalo by Bicycle says, not coffee, it's black juice from hell. Buffalo by Bicycle, those are fighting words. You're an awesome person, so I'm going to let that one slide, but let's tone down the coffee bashing here. I don't think My relationship with coffee is very, very unique. I don't think I like hearing that a whole lot. Smita, good morning. Welcome back. Nancy, good morning. Welcome back. Hopefully everything down there in West Palm Beach is nice and warm. Sean, welcome back. Missed you boys. Wilded out in Budapest. Hopefully that was fun. But small Hungarian cell, no problem. All good, y'all. Peace and love. Peace and love to you, brother. Good to see you back. Hopefully all is well. Lion, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Creation, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader, it's good to see you as always. Welcome back. Kenneth, good morning. Welcome back. Brian says, I'm a curling expert now myself, right? I never watched it before Sunday. Yo, I love curling. I'm still I'm not sure where you are supposed to go practice curling. I know there's a country club that has it around here, but if you're not a country club kid, where do you go play curling? I've always wanted to know what the tactic is with the brushes and all of that. But it's fun, man. I've been watching curling for a long time, since I was a little kid. I'm with you on that. Rustam, good morning. Welcome back. Are we holding hymns? I hope not. That thing got pounded, and it looks like there's some more downside on that. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. Durkis, good morning. Welcome back. Austin, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, it's great to see you again. Nancy said, I did curling when I lived in Winnipeg. So, Nancy, is that a common thing in Canada? Because here in the northern part of the Midwest in the United States, I just don't know where to go. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just my ignorance. Whis, good morning. It's good to see you as always. JJ, good morning. It's good to see you again. Cam, good morning. Peter, good morning. Parvez, good morning. Jonas, good morning. Good. Jonas says, good morning, all. Peter knows how to party. Stay sloshed, big boss. Oh, I love laughing early in the morning. You folks are awesome. Robot to Trade, good morning. Acorns, good morning. All is Rising, good morning. Harvey, good morning. Back at last. Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back. Who am I missing here? Pretty Panda, what's up? What's going on? Animal, good morning from Bosnia. Welcome. Jamaican, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Matthew, good morning. Glenn, good morning. Good to see you again. Coffee is good for your health. James, good morning. I had 2 sips of coffee in my life and I hated it. Might be time to try it again. Just going to throw that out there. Just passing through. Good morning. Welcome back. Big Bees, it's good to see you as always. Rooster, good morning. Breeze, good morning. And Mo, good morning. All right, folks, let's get started with our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure here ahead of Tuesday's open. And interestingly, they're actually down from being in the green earlier this morning. So the recent move has sent the futures across the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ slightly lower into red territory. S&P futures down by 0.14%, Dow futures down by 0.19%, and the NASDAQ down by 0.15%. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session here. Materials, energy, and tech led the S&P 500 higher on Monday, while consumer staples and healthcare shares declined. Investors are bracing for a heavy slate of data today, Tuesday, headlined by the delayed data deluge. Really awesome alliteration there by the writer. A delayed data deluge of retail sales and employment costs that will serve as a critical compass for the Federal Reserve's interest rate path. Meanwhile, on Monday, President Trump acknowledged that his 2017 decision to pass over Kevin Warsh for the Federal Reserve was a, quote, really big mistake, end quote, attributing the move to pressure his former Treasury Secretary. I just want to reiterate here that he was saying this about 2017, not the recent appointment. Depending on who you follow on the internet, you might hear something different. Just throwing it out there. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.18%. The 2-year bond was at 3.48%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show that the market is pricing in an 82.3% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged at the March meeting. I think we're all kind of expecting it to stay there. I know that this started off in the mid 90s and has dipped now to the low 80s, but that's still a really good percentage. And I don't know that we've seen enough in the data to warrant a cut a little bit faster. I still think there's going to be a pause at the next meeting. We have several stocks in focus for you here today, and the first one's going to be Credo Technology. The ticker on Credo is CRDO, and it jumped 16.89% in the pre-market on Tuesday, following its preliminary third quarter earnings. So they didn't actually report earnings yet. They released some preliminary numbers. It expects to report revenue in the range of 404 to 408 million. That was up from the prior guide of 335 to 345 million. So it looks like a really nice increase there. We'll see if there's another landmine hiding in that report. But the preliminary reaction here for Credo, a good one. It is trading up here in the pre-market. Konik I probably pronouncing that wrong. We're just going to call it Philips so that I don't continue to embarrass myself. Philips gained 6.01% after posting upbeat results for the fourth quarter. Those results are as follows. Q4 adjusted EPS of 70 cents beat the 54-cent estimate. Sales of 5.93 billion beat the 5.81 billion estimate. Philips' 2026 outlook projects 3 to 4.5% comparable sales growth, adjusted EBITDA margin of 12.5 to 13%, and free cash flow between 1.3 billion and 1.5 billion euro. Oracle is the next stock on our list. That's ticker ORCL. That was up 1.47% after launching its new pre-built AI agents for Oracle Fusion Cloud applications, designed to automate end-to-end supply chain workflows and accelerate strategic decision-making at no additional cost. This had a good day yesterday and was a pretty good trade yesterday. We'll see if we get some more continuation on it here today. The next stock on our list is going to be Clear Channel Outdoor Holdings. This is interesting because it's in the outdoor or camping space that we've briefly talked about here on the show. Nonetheless, the ticker here is CCO, and it advanced 6.85% after announcing that it has entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by Mubadala Capital in partnership with TWG Global. The all-cash transaction values Clear Channel at an enterprise value of $6.2 billion. The last stock on our list is going to be Ford Motor Company. That's ticker F, and it rose 0.29% as analysts expected to report quarterly earnings at 19 cents per share on revenue of 41.83 billion after the closing bell. As a reminder, we're going to be doing the Ford conference call on this channel later today, so be sure to check that out. All right. Let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we were at. I was extremely disappointed to see that our phantom fake candle is back here, but nothing we can't handle here. We're charting experts at this point. Yesterday, the move was great. We had talked yesterday about waiting to see where some of these stocks, the individual names, as well as the indices close, and we got some good news there, if you will. I don't know if news. We got some good action there. The S&P or the SPY here closed above its 20-day moving average. So that value is going to be 690.28. We would definitely want to hold that here today. The 20-day moving average has been a really good indicator here of trend. And I know that as we've compressed over these last several weeks, we really haven't had a whole lot of trend changes. And if it has changed, it's like it's changed for an afternoon or maybe a day at max. So we'll see if we can still make a move up towards that 700 and break it. We review a lot of the different option charts in the happy hour. It certainly looks like there are a lot of traders positioned up there. So I would be unsurprised if we made a run for 700 on the SPY, even traded above it and then came back in. I suspect there's going to be a battle there. So we're likely going to see some resistance up at that level as well. We'll see if we have enough to get up there. I will say that yesterday the market did look like, or the SPY looked like it was going to try and close above 695. We ended up not doing that. We ended up closing at 693.95. So we couldn't technically get 694 either, although we were right on the doorstep of that. So I want to see if any of those levels get taken out here today. Are we still kind of chopping around, or are we actually going to pick a direction? We'll see if today gets us one step closer to that. Downside level, 690.25 is going to be your 20-day moving average. 687.15 is your 50-day moving average. All right, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. LPL financial strategist Jeffrey Bookbinder and Adam Turnquist express a constructive outlook for the global economy, specifically highlighting the potential for emerging markets to continue their recent outperformance. Big time pat on the back for Tim Melvin, who's talked about this long before Bookbinder and Turnquist were. He's been all over this and been trying to share some of those ideas with the group here on Wednesday mornings. The strategist described the 2026 environment as a, quote, extended but aging expansion, end quote, where growth remains sturdy enough to support corporate earnings despite being uneven across different regions. They anticipate that the U.S. economy will avoid a recession fueled by ongoing enthusiasm around AI and further easing of monetary policy from the Fed. While they expect a modest slowdown in early 2026, they project a rebound later in the year as inflation continues to moderate. We've actually talked with a lot of traders here recently, the T3 guys, and really any traders that we bring on here. And it certainly seems like there are a lot of folks that are really kind of anticipating some type of corrective move, particularly early here in 2026. And I would love to get that. I think that actually sets up for a really nice buy the dip. We saw this last year around Liberation Day, where there were people that thought the U.S. was going to go under. And of course, it was one of the greatest buying opportunities in a long time. And we're hoping that we see some type of pullback again here. In a perfect world, I'd actually like to have that start up here pretty soon. I'm sorry if that's an unpopular opinion, but I would love for this to start to line up with some of the seasonality trends that have been intact for a number of years. If we could start selling off now and maybe bottom mid-March, I actually think that would look really good on the charts. You'd have a lot of seasonality stats that would help you make decisions on trades. I know I'm being very picky here. I'm just saying it seems like a lot of folks are expecting a down move at some point this year, particularly in the first half of the year. And I don't think they're wrong. They anticipate that the U.S. economy will avoid a recession. Technically, Turnquist notes that the broad market's long-term uptrend remains intact, though investors should brace for occasional volatility. We got a good guest to help you embrace volatility here today. A major driver for the positive bias is the avalanche of AI investment in Asia and the U.S., with Bookbinder noting that nothing is bigger than AI right now. They specifically highlight the emerging market earnings that are expected to grow by 29% in 2026, which is more than double the 14% projected for the U.S. Now, we talked a little bit about some of the data here today. January's NFIB Optimism Index will be out by 6. That's already out. Also, the fourth quarter Employment Cost Index, December's Delayed Import Price Index, and delayed U.S. retail sales will be released by 8:30. We're expecting that here in 13 minutes. November's delayed business inventories will be out by 10. Cleveland Fed President Beth Hammack will speak at noon, and Dallas Fed President Lori Logan will speak at 1. All right. I hope you're ready for some tariff news this morning. The T word is back. The Trump administration is reportedly considering sweeping new tariffs on imported semiconductors while simultaneously crafting exemptions designed to protect big tech's AI expansion. Big tech is the biggest thing going. Am I right? The Commerce Department is planning a system of tariff carve-outs that would spare U.S. hyperscalers such as Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet from higher chip costs. And that was reported by the Financial Times on Monday and cited by people familiar with the matter. The move comes as companies race to build data centers that power the artificial intelligence boom. We talk about it here every single day. At the center of the plan is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or ticker TSM, the world's leading contract chip maker and a key supplier to U.S. technology companies. The exemption framework would link tariff relief to the scale of TSMC's investments in American manufacturing, according to the report. TSMC has pledged to invest $165 billion to expand its U.S. footprint, part of Washington's broader effort to reduce reliance on foreign chip production. Under a U.S.-Taiwan trade agreement, Taiwanese firms building semiconductor plants in the U.S. would be allowed to import chips tariff-free in proportion to their planned domestic capacity. TSMC would then be able to pass those exemptions on to its U.S. customers. While the carve-outs offer relief, administration officials stress that the plan is still evolving. One official told the publication that policymakers will closely scrutinize the program to ensure it does not become a giveaway to TSMC and that it aligns with the administration's broader tariff goals. TSMC, the Commerce Department, and the White House did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for comments, but of course, with this being a humongous story, we'll update you as we get that here. In January, the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on a narrow group of chips re-exported by AMD and NVIDIA. The move enforced a White House deal allowing NVIDIA to ship its H200 chips to China in exchange for a 25% government cut of sales. Currently, only a narrow set of chips imported into the U.S. and then re-exported to China are subject to tariffs. Chips used for domestic AI infrastructure have so far been included. Here's a look at Amazon's growth score. I know we talked a little bit about Amazon yesterday. We talked about this being actually a pretty good conviction buy for 2026. The momentum score, a little bit low now. It's kind of been sank recently, but the quality score is still in that 72nd percentile. That's pretty good, and its value still up there at around 58. I would expect those to change here a little bit as well. And if you were tired of AI, well, I got bad news for you. I've got some more AI news here for you. Cisco introduces the G300 chip for AI data centers. At Cisco Live EMEA on Tuesday, Cisco Systems, which is ticker CSCO, launched several groundbreaking innovations designed to transform AI networking, boost efficiency, and enable organizations to scale AI-powered workloads with confidence. These advancements include the introduction of Cisco Silicon One G300, a high-performance switching silicon, and major updates to its AI infrastructure systems. The new Cisco Silicon One G300 with a 102.4 Tbps switching capacity sets a new standard for AI backend networking. The silicon is expected to The silicon is specifically designed to power massive AI data centers, offering optimal performance, security, and reliability. The G300 also delivers 33% increased network utilization and 28% reduced job completion time, making AI data centers more profitable by enhancing the efficiency of GPU hours. Kind of seems like that would be a bit important, no? And it seems important. This silicon's programmability allows it to adapt to new network functionalities, providing long-term infrastructure value. Cisco introduced new systems, the Cisco N9000 and the Cisco 8000, powered by the G300 to support AI workloads in both hyperscale and enterprise environments. These systems are designed for the extreme power and thermal demands of AI with liquid cooling technology that enhances bandwidth density and improves energy efficiency by nearly 70%. Pretty good numbers there. In addition, Cisco unveiled new optics like the 1.6T OSFP and 800G linear pluggable optics, what a mouthful, which are critical for scaling AI networks. These optics reduce power consumption and ensure high-performance connectivity for AI deployments. To future streamline AI infrastructure, Cisco advanced its Nexus One platform, offering unified management and AI networking capabilities. The platform combines Cisco silicon systems, optics, and software into a single integrated solution. Nexus One's AI job observability and integration with Splunk provide deep insights into network performance and AI workload behavior. The unified fabric approach enables customers to deploy and adapt their network flexibility with built-in automation and customization. Now, JP Morgan hosted an investors meeting with Cisco following the company's first quarter earnings release. Analyst Samik Chatterjee emphasized that Cisco's fiscal 2026 guidance for hyperscale AI orders exceeding $4 billion represents a minimum level target. The analyst also noted that the $2 billion AI opportunity pipeline, including the NeoCloud and enterprise AI, was primarily generated in the last quarter, with sovereign AI not yet included in these estimates. To meet its target growth rate of 15 to 17% in security, Cisco will need a significant shift towards new products, he added. Perhaps this is one of them. All right, now, this next one here, how much time do we have? 6 minutes? All right. This, I thought, was one of the more eye-popping things here. So what we'll do is we'll start with the chart, and we're going to go to Palantir's chart. I think several of you are already looking at Palantir here today. Billy said Shop and Palantir on the upgrade scan. Shop, of course, reported earnings too. Oh, no, excuse me. That was Spotify. I always get those two mixed up. Anyway, here's a look at Palantir's chart. This is plus 1.36% here in the pre-market. And perhaps more notably, it does look like this is kind of turning around off of a previous support level. We had identified the support level a little bit lower. We had called it 125, but the reality is that this thing turned around here at what, 128 and a quarter, just thereabouts. But if you look on the chart here, you can see that this was a former resistance back in early 2025, then became support in July of 2025. And it looks like it is support now here in February of 2026. So do we continue to bounce and maybe recapture some of these moving averages? The 200-day is actually 16 points higher than where our current price is. Not something we've said a lot with some of these big cap tech names. We also have the 20-day, which has been very indicative of trend for us, really steeply pitching down here. It would be great to recapture that. Maybe the free fall here in Palantir will end. But we have trouble on the horizon. Famed big short investor Michael Burry has signaled a massive technical breakdown for Palantir Technologies, releasing a chart that suggests that the high-flying AI stock is headed for a nearly 60% collapse. So I think right there, producer, maybe we want to run a poll around this. Who thinks Palantir has the capability of collapsing? Let's be a little bit more conservative. Let's say 50+%. Can Palantir move back 50% from where it's at now? Burry's calling for 60. I think our poll should be 50, just a little bit more conservative there. Let me know what you think. In a post on X on February 10th, Burry shared a technical analysis of Palantir's stock price history, identifying a classic head and shoulders reversal pattern. The chart, captioned with the ominous note, quote, "I'm working on something Palantir," marks a definitive left shoulder, head, and right shoulder formation. Now, let me see if I can share this here with you. I'm going to try and blow this up a little bit here and share this tab instead. This should be a little bit easier for you to see. This is the Palantir stock the Palantir chart that Burry shared here. You can see exactly what's going on here, right? Left shoulder, right shoulder. Now, I know it does look a little janky, especially if you're trying to connect those highs and the head, but it has all the makings here of the head and shoulders. And it looks like Burry is carving out these support levels down here. This is the 61.8%. So he's using fib ratios here. He's got that at 83.68. And then the landing area, that's 76.4%. Get it together, Ryan. The value down here is $54.4. So 54.40 is the landing area. Do you guys think that this is all possible to happen? You will have to let me know. There's what Burry's chart looks like. So Burry's analysis points to a next support level near 80 and the ultimate landing area between 50 and 60. With the stock trading at 142.91 per share as of Monday, the drop to 60 would represent a staggering 58% downside move. This technical outlook aligns with Burry's existing fundamental skepticism. Last November, he clarified a massive options bet against the company, stating, "So I bought 50,000 of these things for 184. Each of those doodads let me sell Palantir at 50 in 2027. We'll see if he's going to end up getting that. Burry has earlier termed the tech stock that he has shorted as frauds of the modern era. No stranger to hyperbolic statements there. He recently shuttered his hedge fund, Scion Asset Management, after filing papers to deregister the firm. In a letter to investors, he noted the move followed a period where the market failed to align with his assessments, writing, "With a heavy heart, I will liquidate the funds and return capital by year's end." While Palantir CEO Alex Karp has previously dismissed Burry's short position as batshit crazy, the investor remains steadfast. Burry's latest chart suggests that the AI bubble has frequently warned about it finally losing its structural integrity, regardless of the company's recent earnings performance. It's worth noting Palantir maintains a weaker price trend over the short, medium, and long term from its recent downturn here, with a very poor value ranking. Its growth ranking astronomical in that 92 percentile. So let me know what you folks think on Palantir. Jonas here in the chat says, "Lol, Palantir ain't going nowhere." All is rising saying Burry trying to sell his short is all. Cam says Burry's been quiet on NVIDIA. Wisdom says it can dump 25% and I won't cry about it. So a lot of different opinions here on Palantir. I'll be honest, maybe I'm wrong about this. Burry's been doing this a lot longer than I have. I don't see Palantir falling more than 50% from where it is. Not with everything that's going on here, not with the increased defense budget, not with the results that Palantir gives to the U.S. government. I don't see that happening. I've been wrong before. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. We'll see if this is one of those times. But good stuff there regarding Burry and his short here on Palantir. Okay. First time I've ever brought Mr. Beast into this show. I hope you all are ready for this. Mr. Beast acquires a Gen Z fintech Step. He says he wants to give millions financial foundation because nobody taught him about managing money. This is actually a discussion that I've had outside of work here, just with general people. There's a number of things that I think that schools don't do correctly when kids are very young, and money management is absolutely one of these. Things like cooking would be another. Learn how to prepare foods in your kitchen so that you don't have to rely on fast food. That would do wonders for Americans' health. But I digress. Stuff like this, getting people interested in finance and having people start to build their financial future at a young age. This is something else that I'm very, very passionate about. This is something that I would do on a volunteer basis at some point in my life, just because I believe that it is that important. On Monday, I'm happy to hear this. I hope that it works out. Just letting you know of what my bias is ahead of the story here. On Monday, YouTube star Jimmy Donaldson, popularly known as Mr. Beast, announced that his company, Beast Industries, has acquired Step. Step is a financial services platform aimed at teenagers and young adults. Financial terms of the deal have not yet been disclosed. The company offers banking, saving, and investment tools and helps users under the age of 18 begin building credit, according to the company's website. This is something else here that's really important. I was very fortunate because when I was younger, my parents put me on a family cell phone plan that somehow ended up building towards my credit. It never missed a payment because my parents were paying for it at the time. And then I was expected to buy my own car when I turned 16. So I started saving when I was 14. And by the time I had enough money for a down payment, I started making car payments. And I was very, very fortunate because at a very early age, I was able to start building credit. I've run into people that are full-blown adults that don't even have a credit profile, and it makes it hard for them to do things. So just right here on the surface here, this sounds awesome to me. Sharing the news on X, Mr. Beast said the acquisition is rooted in his own personal experience. Quote, "Nobody taught me about investing, building credit, or managing money when I was growing up," end quote. He goes on to say, "That's exactly why we're joining forces with Step. I want to give millions of young people the financial foundation that I never had," end quote. For anyone that wants to dig into the story a little bit more or follow the tweets themselves, they're all linked in the story here, which I went ahead and threw in the chat. Beast Industries was valued at $5 billion. I mean, wow, $5 billion in 2024, and counts prominent investors such as Chamath Palihapitiya and Reddit's co-founder Alexis Ohanian among its backers. Sometimes it's about who you know. Am I right? Palihapitiya, known as the SPAC King, reacted to the announcement on X saying, "We bought a bank." Bitmine Immersion Technologies chairman Tom Lee also praised the deal, calling it a logical expansion for the Mr. Beast brand. Gen Z is entering adulthood, and that journey requires financial education, budgeting, and investing, Lee said in a post on X, adding that Mr. Beast and his team are well positioned to provide these tools to young people in need. Quote, "Bitmine looks forward to amplifying these efforts for Beast Industries," end quote. The Step acquisition comes as Beast Industries continues to expand beyond digital media. The company plans to roll out additional consumer products and services targeted at Mr. Beast's fan base, which include roughly 466 million subscribers on his main YouTube channel. Among its upcoming ventures is going to be Beast Mobile. So maybe Elon's not going to make a phone, but you can get the Beast phone. Mr. Beast may make a phone. So, I wanted to share this with you. I think this is really awesome. And I'll be honest with you, I really, really hope that this works. And I really hope that this helps make financial future for young people that much better. All right, folks, it's Tuesday. Y'all know what that means. It is a T3 Tuesday. Very pleased to bring on our guest here today. We're going to follow up with Scott Bauer. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Scott, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm doing pretty good. Look, it's good to have you here. The last time I had you here was back in October of last year, and you and I were gearing up for a Bears versus Ravens game that they were losing. But gosh, Scott, kind of a lot's happened since then. I know
Yeah, you think?
just had the Super Bowl here. I personally was hoping for a Bears-Bills Super Bowl, but I was very encouraged at what I saw, and I'm excited for next year. How about you?
You and me both. Absolutely. Nothing but hopefully Bears on the upswing here, and we'll see what happens. But it's all exciting, as is the Indiana Hoosiers. Having
And
put
that's
having put
right.
4 kids through there, let me just tell you, I have a big enough investment to have rooted on the Hoosiers all the way through the national
I
championships.
was doing the same, Scott. Let me ask you, as a fellow Hoosier, I also went to Indiana University.
Wow.
As a fellow
Congrats.
Hoosier, 10 years ago, if someone had said to you, Scott, in a decade, IU is going to be the national football champion, what would your reaction have been?
You spent too much time at Kilroy's.
Kilroy's or Kilroy Sports, indeed. Okay, that's really good there. All right, Scott, let's get into this. I know that we've talked before. We've really talked about volatility kind of being your friend. And folks, join Scott Bauer live today at 8 to show why he believes traders should embrace volatile markets using his time-tested option system that is designed to target potentially explosive profits no matter what direction a stock moves. Let's just start there. We've had a lot of volatility here in 2026. What do you have on the docket right now? What do you see out there? What are you doing? What do you like?
It's really, really difficult to be a stock picker in this market. So I think what you really need to do, if you're going to be a successful trader in this marketplace here, you really, really need to understand how options work, how options premium work, how option volatility works. And you can take advantage of that, whether you're bullish, bearish, neutral. If you don't, if you're not picking a direction, but without really understanding these premium levels and how volatility works, boy, you're lagging. You are not putting the odds in your favor. And what I do is use math and use time tested simple types of setups to just put the odds in our favor, right? Trading is difficult enough as it is. So you have to approach this almost like you would approach anything else. What are the odds of success? And that's exactly how I break things down.
And then what can you do to put those odds in your favor? That makes a lot of sense there. Okay. Can we talk about some individual names here at all?
Sure.
Maybe things that you see out there. I can fire away here. Let me go ahead and bring my charts up here.
Sure.
I was just talking about Palantir here, just talked about Burry saying that there's a head and shoulders here. I guess let's just start with Palantir, mostly because I have it up already. What do you see here in this chart after its recent pullback from its highs?
Yeah, we're almost at, real quickly, what I see is a 50% retracement, right? If you look at I'm looking at that low that's right around 61, $62 down there. And then you look at the high of what's the all-time high there?
208.
208. Okay. So if we look at that, that puts the 50% retracement right where the stock bounced, literally. So what that means is traders look for these, Fibonacci, which is a fancy term, right, for probabilities. Traders look for this 50% retracement. You take a low point, you take a high point. What's the middle? Well, if I do the quick math, 61 to 208 or whatever, and um, we're looking somewhere right around that 130-ish level. So that is where it just bounced. To me, that's a real interesting area, Ryan. And I can see a sustained bounce from here. Now, you do have the 200-day moving average, the simple moving average up at
Mhm.
158, 159, and the 50-day moving average up at 171, 172. But I would not be short Palantir here if you were, going to trade it directionally. And when I look at option premium, option volatility, certainly it's off its peak because earnings are behind us. It's still fairly elevated. So if I was going to approach this with a somewhat moderately bullish trade here, again, I'm not looking for this thing to catapult to the upside, but if I thought it was going to grind higher, this could be a great setup for something that's called an iron condor, and a bullish iron condor that allows you to take advantage of expensive option premium, and you can trade this with a directional bias to it. So that's the way I would approach this.
Okay, so it sounds like you would be on the opposite side here of Burry, and you'd be looking for a move up. Looks like the chat would agree with you as well. Kind of in the same position there. I don't really think this is going to retrace 50% from here. I think that's a little rich, if you ask me. Okay, thanks for indulging me there in Palantir. I did one more individual name that you and I talked about last time that I wanted to follow up on, mostly because it's really close to my own heart here. We talked about Costco the last time that I had you here, and we talked about this actually being a pretty good buy. It's 50 points higher from when we talked. But in the meantime, we actually had this little bit of a pullback here.
Massive pullback.
That we lost the 500, we recaptured it along with a lot of other moving averages. So the recent run that this thing has been on has been great. We basically bottomed at around 850. We recaptured the 20, the 50, the 200. We back tested the 100, and now we've tried to move higher. So let me ask you, what do you see here in the Costco chart?
Right here, I'd be a little bit cautious. Not cautious that it's not going higher. I'm still, this is a stock you want to own. You can certainly trade it. This is a stock you want to own. But after this run here, I'd be a little bit more comfortable getting long, taking a long position if we did see it back up down towards that 200-day moving average, which is 950, 955 area. I will tell you, when it was down, sub 900 for that brief period of time, we were selling put spreads down there.
Perfect.
Worked out great. Certainly not as good as, listen, if we had just bought calls or some call spreads on the upside, but that's how you can take advantage in a variety of ways in this marketplace. So I still love Costco. I'd love to see it settle back towards the 200, put in a lot of volume there, use that as a base, and then make that next move higher.
Okay, so we want this to consolidate then above the 200 before it sets up for the launching pad move higher. Okay, love it. Love that you love Costco as well. That means we don't have to fight about it, so I'll take that all day. All right, the other thing, and this is perhaps not an instrument that you would normally expect to see a ton of volatility in, but can you talk to me about what you were doing with some of the metals recently, like gold and silver?
Absolutely. Gold was a trade throughout 2025, that we know was just a buy the dip. You can almost throw the technicals out the window, and anytime there was a dip, you bought it. And we did that probably 12 or 15 times throughout the year just by buying upside call spreads. Now, full disclosure, I also did that recently right on this big dip, and that one hasn't worked out. But that's okay, because I still believe that thesis is still in play. I still believe the buy the dip in these metals is still in play. Maybe we're not going to see the velocity and how fierce these rallies had been, but nothing out there tells me that pattern has been kind of halted here. So maybe it's a little bit more cautious of a trade, but I still love the metals trade on any buy the dip. And even if you look at GLD, for instance, on that massive drawdown that we just saw, you know what? It almost hit the 50-day moving average and bounced right there. Didn't quite get to it. So that 50-day moving average, simple moving average, which is 417-ish, which, listen, that's 10% away. That's 10% to the downside from right here. Still holds as really, really good support. So I think you still have to buy any dip in these. Now, I don't go out and I don't just buy the futures or buy the metal itself. I am always using options. So when I say buy the dip, depending on where that option premium is, I'm either buying call spreads or selling put spreads.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. And then anything specific on silver at all? I know we focused mostly on gold there. You said that it's buy the dip for the metals. Silver actually did test the 50-day moving average and it started to bounce there. Anything specific here?
It did. It did test that 50. And we weren't playing silver as much. I'm hesitant to jump into that arena. Not that I won't trade it, but I'm hesitant to jump into SLV because I don't think the setup is there as high of a probability as it is in GLD. Are the two trading, pretty much hand in hand with one another? They are. GLD to me though is has the better track record. And
Mhm.
again, to me, it's all about using those probabilities in your favor. So that's where I'm going to stick.
Okay, perfect. We have one of our viewers here affectionately calls GLD King Gold. So it sounds like you're on the same page there as Mr. King Gold here. Okay, really good stuff, folks. Join Scott Bauer live today at 8 p.m. Eastern to show why he believes traders should embrace volatile markets using his time-tested option system that is designed to target potentially explosive profits no matter what direction a stock moves. Okay, we talked about Costco. We talked about the Bears, which was most important for me. We talked about the metals here. I have a couple more individual names, but I want to pivot a little bit here. We're in the middle of an earnings season. Is there anything that you're doing special here for earnings? Is there anything that you like? Is there tactically, are you waiting for the earnings print to get out of the way before you're doing something? Tell me about how you trade earnings season.
No, we definitely traded, and that'll be
Yeah.
one of the things that I discuss tonight as well. What I would tell people is if you're going to trade on earnings, which is fine, yes, maybe there's more risk to it because the moves are bigger, but you have to understand that that is priced into the market. That is already priced into option volatility. So if you're going to trade it, you have to understand something that is called volatility crush. You have to know, you have to know that with 100% certainty, and I don't use 100% a lot in anything, with 100% certainty, after those earnings come out, that volatility or that option premium is going to collapse regardless of the move, higher, lower, unchanged in the stock. You will see a massive, massive decrease in implied volatility. And if you don't account for that ahead of time, you can absolutely be correct on the position that you put on, bullish or bearish or neutral. But if you don't account for that, what we call volatility crush, you can absolutely have a losing trade. So one of the things that
Been
I
there.
what's that?
I've been there.
Yeah, right. And people wonder, man, I was long these calls and the stock went up and I lost money, or vice versa, and that's because of volatility crush. It is imperative. It is imperative if you are going to trade around earnings that you understand that. So, given that, one of the strategies that I like to use a lot is what I call a strangle swap or a double diagonal, where I am selling the earnings premium. So, let's say this week's put and call. So this week's strangle and buying something against that, whether it's next week, a couple weeks out. And I'm looking at the disparity between the implied volatility. I'm calculating in, okay, what is going to happen to that option premium tomorrow once earnings are out? And many times during earnings season, that is one of the times where you can actually find some inefficiencies in the marketplace. Most of the time, options are priced exactly how they should be priced. It's not like 30, 35 years ago when I was trading on the floor when you knew something was out of whack and you could take advantage of it. Right now, options are 99% of the time priced the way they're supposed to be. But when it comes to earnings season, because of that vol crush, you can find some inefficiencies. And so that's the way that I like to approach it.
Okay. And folks, if you want to learn how to do that, be sure to join Scott Bauer live today at 8 p.m. to show why he believes traders should embrace volatile markets and using his time-tested strategy to target potentially explosive moves. I got two more individual names I want to ask you about before we
Great.
get you out of here. First one's going to be Netflix. Extremely popular. I'm sure you're familiar with it. This too has had a pretty substantial pullback. It actually looks like we're trying to trade sideways around a support area. We get asked every day, is this a buy here today? Is it going lower? What do you think?
I wouldn't short it. I mean, I'm not the Netflix bull, Uber bull here. I would have problems shorting it though. So again, to me, this could be a setup if we get into a situation where option volatility, and I'm looking right now, gets kind of expensive, and it's not right now. Premium in Netflix is pretty inexpensive, but this would be a scenario where I would be biased slightly to the upside, but want to be a seller of premium, and that just doesn't line up right now because implied
Okay.
volatility is pretty cheap.
Okay. All right. I love that. I love how process based that is. You want it, but it's not telling you to take it. So you're being patient and kind of waiting it out.
Don't have that FOMO. That's such a huge part of trading, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. The next one that I wanted to ask you about, creation, you were hitting it. It's like you watched Scott the last time we talked to him. Let's talk about Carvana. This too is something you and I talked about last time. If I recall correctly, yeah, it was near the end of October. So we pulled back to the 200 here, made another ridiculous move higher that set a double top is what it looks like to me. I can't wait to get your opinion on it. Now we've pulled back here to the 200 and bounced again. What's going on with it? You're the volatility expert. You tell me what's going on with Carvana here.
I love this volatility, and I also love that 200-day moving average. So Ryan, if you go back all the way to, I mean, it's probably off your charts. You can go back further than 2 years, and that 200-day moving average, which over 2 years ago was all the way down at, we're talking like $35-40.
Yep.
That 200-day moving average over that period of time has just been technically a really important area of support, and we have seen a bounce there, and it just happened again. It just happened last week. 357 was the 200-day moving average. We traded down to 360, and we see this little bounce here. Now, what do you do now that we have this bounce? What do you do that, we're kind of, all right, almost at a little point of resistance here. I know it's not up at the triple top, but if you go back to the area that it traded in, I'm looking at September, October, where kind of that 400-ish area was resistance. I think I have to look out for this here. If I do see a race higher above the 50-day moving average, and that 50-day moving average is 432, so we're 5% or so higher than here, that's probably where I get into it, looking for a move back to those old highs up at 485. Here, to me, I'm in no man's land. I like it, but I'm in no man's land. So it's another case of you got to be patient. You have to be tactical. You have to pick your spots. I'd rather miss the next $20 on the upside, quite frankly, but then have something confirmed to me where I feel the odds are in my favor.
Okay, now last thing here on Carvana, we had a recent Gotham City short report. Do you give any credence to short reports? Does it affect your trading at all? Are you interested in this stuff at all?
I absolutely am, and typically I fade them.
You fade the short?
Over time, I fade those. So when a report comes out and we see, a stock just drop because someone sent a report out there that maybe there's some accounting mishaps or, something is going on, I typically fade that move. So if we see a stock drop precipitously, I'm looking to actually get in. Now, I'm not going to close my eyes. I'm not going to try and catch a falling knife. But if it aligns with some of the technical things that I'm looking at for an entry, then yes, I actually like to fade those moves.
Okay, this is awesome. You fit so well in our group here, and I don't just mean because you're a Chicago sports fan. I mean because that's exactly what we were doing here. A lot of these short reports, we've ended up buying the dip on the short report, and they have paid handsomely. Carvana's not by itself. FTAI was another one. App has had a couple of those. Those have both ended up being great. So, okay, Scott, this was absolutely awesome. Really good stuff. Folks, I've read Scott's read here a number of times. Just scan the QR code. He's going to teach you about how to trade stuff for volatility. Scott, really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here today. Of course, I can't wait for September next year, man. Go Bears. You Cubs or a Sox fan?
Thanks, Ryan. Have a great one.
Hang on. Got to get you out of here. Cubs or a Sox fan?
Oh, Cubs, huge.
All right, you have got the right answers all day.
My office here is donned with Cubs gear.
I like your office. I like you, and I like your employees. Scott, thanks for joining us here today. We'll be sure to follow up with you next time. Have a good rest of the week. Right?
You as well.
All right, that is Scott Bauer from T3. I tell you every week, folks, the T3 guys are absolutely incredible. Scott, a master of trading volatility there. Be sure to check that out. All right. One more. Yeah. Okay. There was no way I was going to let him get out of here without answering Cubs or Sox. And by the way, we need bonus points right now. Bonus points to 10 AK trading. This is definitely the funniest thing that I've heard so far today. I understand it's only 8 o'clock in the morning here in Chicago, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So there's a lot to go on. Carvana is the final boss of vending machines. I am gonna take this and I am going to reuse this. I may not cite you, but just know it came from you. This is absolutely hilarious. I completely agree. Okay. Really quickly here, I've got 5 minutes till 13 shows up. I got one more thing to report and we got one tweet to look at, and then we're going to break down the movers like a fraction. The next thing to take a look at here, Cathie Wood betting big on the SpaceX XAI merger. Cathie Wood's flagship venture fund has realigned its heaviest bets following the record-breaking merger between Elon Musk's aerospace giant and artificial intelligence startup. The ARK Venture Fund, which is ARK VX, has confirmed that SpaceX and XAI have merged in a transformative deal that values the combined entity at $1.25 trillion. That's trillion with a T. This consolidation has officially solidified SpaceX as the fund's largest single position. According to fund data, as of January 31st, SpaceX held a weight of 11.23%, while XAI stood at 6.31%. Combined, the new Muskonomy powerhouse represents a massive 17.54% anchor for the ARK portfolio. The merger with come on, Ryan, get it together. The merger, which Musk announced on Monday, involves SpaceX acquiring XAI to unify his missions in space and artificial intelligence. The transaction values SpaceX at approximately $1 trillion and XAI at $250 billion. The deal shattered a 20-year record for global M&A previously held by Vodafone's $203 billion takeover of Mansman in 2000. Musk framed the synergy as a long-term play for human intelligence, stating that the merger marks, quote, not just the next chapter, but the next book, end quote, in his shared mission. Talking to X, Musk celebrated the union to the stars. SpaceX and XAI are now one company. The combined entity towers over the other ARK VX holdings, such as Figure AI, which represents 4.24%, and Databricks, which we are expecting to IPO this year at 3.55%. The strategic move comes as SpaceX reportedly prepares for a potential public offering later this year and could see its valuation climb past $1.5 trillion. While the deal tightens Musk's interconnected empire, which includes Tesla, Neuralink, and X, it expects to draw regulatory scrutiny regarding governance and SpaceX's extensive federal contracts. So we'll see how this all shakes out here. Definitely interested in all of this. I can't wait for this IPO to come. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think y'all folks are going to make it fun. All right, 13's ready to go, so we're going to do a real quick street tweet here. All right. There we go. Our first street tweet here, our only one here today. This comes from First Squawk, and this was yesterday, a little bit later in the evening. Philippines ambassador to Washington says China seems ready to find a way to ease the South China Sea tensions through cooperation. There's been a lot of back and forth talk there. I know that there's some worries about the U.S. and Iran. The last thing we need are more worries about conflict. Seems to me here, at least per the Philippines ambassador to Washington, and it looks like we're going to try and resolve this via cooperation. Fingers crossed for this. I think that this would be good for markets and good for all of us. You will have to let me know what you think about all of this stuff. Okay. All right, folks, let's go ahead and break down these movers. Let's say hi to 13. Let's get started with our pre-market pulse. You know we're getting close to the bell because we got all of those percussion sounds going on. 13. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, everybody. How's that like button feeling this morning?
That's, you know what? They haven't told us, so why don't you hit the like button, tickle it maybe, if you will, and let 13 know how it's doing here today. Please help support us. It's free. Let's go. 13.
Let's do it.
Do you want to just start with the movers, or did you have something else that you want to start with?
No, let's get these movers out the way.
Perfect.
By the way, one thing I wanted to point out about when we talk about these movers, and we keep saying, these are day trades, not ones to hold. I think nothing can really illustrate that more than when we were trading yesterday, UOKA, coming out with an offering this morning. So this is the one yesterday. It has a mega low float, needed cash. It's at 241,000 to float, and here it is. They raised that capital. So this is the reason why you don't want to be around in these for the long haul. These are just day trades, folks.
Yeah, and so the really good stuff. We actually had a question earlier. They were asking Scott what he was going to day trade here today. Folks, I bring on traders of all different varieties here. So not everybody is going to day trade. I know we all get used to it here with 13 because we do such a good job breaking these things down. Scott, our previous guest, he hates day trading. He maybe hates a strong word. He doesn't like day trading. He talked about that the last time that he joined us here. So those were not day trades. 13, really good reminder right off the bat here. These are day trades, and you picked a really good one to make an example of, because this thing yesterday, boy, that trade entry was that trend line break and those pre-market high tests that happened on volume. The stock actually shot. I mean, if you were really good and kind of hawking this, maybe your entry was down there around 240. A little bit more conservative entry would have been around maybe 250 to 255. This thing went to 420. And then pulled back, did nothing. And then in the pre-market here, we basically fell from 230 down to 68 cents, all the way back down. So 13, I think this is a really good place to start here. You're absolutely right with some of these. They're junky, and we know they're junky, and they are not conducive to holding overnight. I hope nobody got hurt by this one, but really good mention there to start this off, 13. Let's get to some of these stocks that are moving here. And the first one is EvoMune. Ticker on this one is EVMN. EvoMune shares are the company. Okay. EvoMune shares are trading higher as the company announced top-line results for its phase 2A trial evaluating Evo 301. It's not extra virgin olive oil. It's one of its drugs here. And it met its primary endpoint. So met the primary efficacy endpoint, excuse me. You can see this stock's up a whopping 93%. No shock for some of our biotech stocks here. Thing closed around $17 yesterday, printed above 36 here today. So far, holding higher by 93%. A quick peek at the short interest on this one. It's not super high, but there's definitely something here. 6.7% of the float shorted. That is roughly equivalent to 1.9 million shares. Also has 4.86 days to cover. That days to cover is because the average 100-day volume is just about 229,000 shares. We've done 4.5 million here today, so I suspect that days to cover won't really factor into today, but there's still people holding this short, so be mindful of that. Float on this, 28.382 million, 13. What do you think? EVMN.
So good news from the phase 2A results, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial evaluating that EVO 301. They are planning a phase 2B upcoming here. So that's what's going to happen next with this clinical trial for EVO 301. They have 2 quarters of cash and more in short-term investments. So it seems pretty unlikely to me that they'll be needing to raise capital. That's not a reason to stick around in this thing. We're day trading this, folks. As far as the price action here with the chart, it looks like it's been trying to get back up to that $38 high that it put in about half an hour ago. There was a recent attempt about 15 minutes ago to get up there. That didn't happen. We're still holding above the VWAP, but the momentum appears to be kind of rolling over a little bit. So unless volume increases here as we approach the open, this looks like we're going to come back in and try and get some support from the VWAP. But it does look like it's setting up to try and push higher over that $38 area. So just watch the volume on this. If we start to see it expand, that might be our opportunity there. And we would just need to, okay, it might be actually starting to happen here. But it's also very spready. So just keep that in mind as you're trading. It's like the spread is like 50 cents right now. So keep that in mind as you're trading it. And just be careful. Make sure you have your entrances and exits planned appropriately.
And one more thing here. Appreciate this, Kathy. I love the looking out here for the group. You cannot trade this on Schwab. So if you're using Thinkorswim or you have a Schwab account, you cannot trade this without calling in the order. So this is going to be on that restricted list if you haven't had that removed yet. I have not, by the way. I'm just not even messing with that. The way I'm looking at this is that there's so many things to trade here. There's so many things that I'm interested in. I can't possibly trade them all. So if it's restricted for possible volatility and fraud, I'll just look for something else here. Jane mentioning that you can also do an online chat with support to request that restriction being removed. So if you have a phobia of talking to people on the phone, you don't have to. You might be able to do that here with the chat. But good stuff there. EVMN, huge move, almost 100% runner. It's the closest thing we have to 100% runner. We'll see if that gets rolling here today. Okay. Next on our list is FIO. This is FIO Pharma. We have traded this a number of times on this show before. I don't know that I want to call this an ex-girlfriend necessarily. Folks, look at the history here. It doesn't matter what the price range is. This thing pops and very quickly gives it back. I don't know that this is going to be anything new here on FIO. Now, looking at the action here today, we had an impulse move met by a little bit of a corrective move and then a rocket through the VWAP on the expanding volume. This is something that we're trying to look for every single day, regardless of the ticker and the company, and it looks like we got that once already here today. There is a catalyst for this. The Safety Monitoring Committee concluded its planned safety review for all patients treated with the Intacil compound. PH 762 in FIO Pharmaceuticals phase 1B trial, and there were no serious adverse events or dose-limiting toxicities identified. So phase 1B trial, no serious adverse effects or dose-limiting toxicities identified. Definitely good news. That's why the stack's up nearly 70% here. We'll hold it. That's another question. The short interest on this name, 4.43% of the float is shorted. That represents about 475,000 raw shares and 1.22 days to cover. There's some short interest in here. I got to think that it's not really going to matter a whole lot unless they take on new shorts here today. On average, stock trades 412,000 shares. Today, it's traded 56 million thereabouts. Float here is 10.7. We've traded almost 6 times the float already before the market even opens. 13, what do you think here on PHIO?
In addition to what you're saying, the CEO, president, and chairman, all the same person, they like this company so much they are buying it. Insider buying a lot from this gentleman. The most recent one was beginning of this year.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen one since, but the company does have 3/4 of cash. So I don't think they have an immediate need to raise capital, but they will likely have to in the future. One of the recent times we've looked at this, I also identified that they did have a pretty solid cash runway. So I don't think that they're going to need to raise capital here. There's a little bit less risk with that, but this thing is still pretty volatile. It has 10.7 million shares in the float, and we've been having a pretty good morning here. So I would expect there to be a little bit of pullback before we make another potential move. When I look at the daily chart, I can see some areas that we've already gone up to, and the resistance that we're coming up to next is going to be at about 170, and we also have the 200 EMA in the way at 185. So 170 and 185 are going to be the next two areas I think are going to provide resistance should we even get up there. Now that I look at the price ladder, I can see a seller in the way at 169. So definitely seeing the same things that we are.
Okay. Really, my question here is a couple of folks saying that this is actually good for the long term. Good luck if that's the case. Looking at this, that makes me wonder if the bottom is about $1 here.
It might be. It might be good for the long term, but it's if you're willing to keep on buying it if they have to raise capital or if they have to go through a reverse split, because this is for phase 1B. There's still other clinical trials you're going to have to go through. Those are going to eat up cash. And I'm not disagreeing that this is going to be good for the long term. I'm saying in the short term, in this interim where they're doing clinical trials, they're very cash hungry.
And this is what we talk about all of the time, know what you own here. Really quick, it was that Robert J. Bitterman is the gentleman that you were talking about adding. He did end up buying at 102 and 103. So as far as the insider transactions, now he's only buying 5,000 shares per lot here. And it does look like this is kind of a repeat thing. So I'm almost wondering if he's buying this on a schedule. He has bought this before. Ronald Bitterman. Robert Bitterman, excuse me. He's bought this before in a 2-handle, so it actually looks like he was dollar cost averaging his position here, or this is just a scheduled buy, which is totally possible. Nonetheless, as Tim Melvin reminds us, only one reason to buy your own stock. You think the future is bright, and looks like several of you agree with that.
And Lion, I understand that their pipeline is great. This is actually the drug that in question, I believe, is received IND approval. So this is going to be a new thing. And I don't doubt that it's going to be great one day, but they don't have revenue. They just eat cash. So for now, maybe now's not the time, but I don't disagree that this will be good in the future.
Mo here saying this is someone that has been swinging it before, and this is the risk when you're doing this when the price is depressed like this. I had 3,000 shares at 104. Dang, I was just getting chopped up too much, so I got out with crumbs. Mo, I have been in the same position that you found yourself in a handful of times, and actually a lot of times. And it just happens, right? The stock's not really doing anything. You're holding the stock. It's chopping around. It shows you a loss one day. Then you get it back the next day. And eventually you're just like, forget it. I'm just going to get out with whatever I can. And then a month later, it ends up going, don't be discouraged by that. It happens. It happens to all of us. You'll have another opportunity without a doubt. Okay. Good stuff there. PHIO, that's FIO. The next one here on the list is going to be ABP. This is AbPro Holdings. This stock ripped in the after hours yesterday, popped again here today, but it's coming back in. I believe this is the stock that is up on the Goldman Sachs stake.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that was the news here. Goldman Sachs report via 13G filing reported a 6.8% stake in the company. So that's what's driving this higher. It's holding higher here by about 65%. Again, it was a little bit higher in the after hours yesterday. Taking a look at the short interest here, 0.25% of the float shorted. There's literally 5,000 shares held short. This is going to be negligible and will not play into the trading here today. On average, it trades. Sorry, sorry, the keyboard was super loud. On average, it trades 252,000 shares. Today, it's traded 23.5 million. The float, right in our wheelhouse for some of these trades, 1.73 million. What do you think here on ABP?
Yeah, so the 13G filing, Goldman Sachs taking a 6.8% stake in it. Great. Company still needs cash, but it has 44 million in flex financing. So even if they have to raise, or borrow money, I don't think they're going to have to issue shares. So there's, that's good news. 1.3 million shares in the float, as I imagine you said already.
Yep.
And we have not been having the greatest of mornings. This actually popped up to the highs of the session, the pre-market session, right out of the gate here in the pre-market, hitting 340. And we've leaked ever since. Now, we are getting some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. So we'll have to see if that's going to provide a rebound here and take us back up to VWAP and hopefully over VWAP and the 65 EMA as we approach the open. But with the volume this right here, as where it is, as low as it is, I think I'm going to just kind of wait this one out, see what happens out of the gate. This might actually provide a pretty good trade, given that it's been kind of fading all morning, and maybe as soon as it opens, we get a volume spike, and that gives it a lift back up. But the 65 EMA and the VWAP, those are going to be right in an area of consolidation, so could prove to be a little bit rough to try to get through. But beyond that, the next resistance above it is going to be 280, followed by looks like 3 to me.
Yeah, big thing here for me is that this has really just stayed under its VWAP. So maybe we do get a pop to the VWAP. If we do, that would be for the purpose of a trade here. That would be resistance area 1. I would definitely take some of the gains there and book it in case it comes back in. We actually saw that with a couple of the movers yesterday. So just from a trading strategy standpoint here, I would definitely lighten some of that at the VWAP. If you want to hold some in case you think that we move through it and then challenge some of those pre-market highs, great. Just make sure that some of that is booked so you don't give those gains back if your entry is really good. Okay, next. What? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, okay. You just jumped in front of me and yelled it, so I couldn't. Okay, ticker EWCZ, European Wax Center. This is buyout, no trade here, as 13 just said. Moving on, next we have Nectar Therapeutics. This is going to be NKTR. You can see that this is trading up towards about 47.5. Actually, looks like it found some resistance there. Stock's higher by about 26.38%. Nice move here. Here's what's going on. Nectar says Resolve AD Week 52 week data shows one of its drugs with a ton of letters and Z's and stuff that I'm not going to try, maintained EASI 75 and 71 and 83%, and VIGAAD in 85% and 63% with monthly and quarterly 24, it looks like microgram dosing. So, okay. I'm not sure what all this is without having to go through the PR here, but very quickly, what I can gather from the headline is that these are both really good results, 73 and 81%, 85 and 63%. The market likes it. It's driving it higher here, but it's a modest 26%. I think that's because the stock is actually a higher price. It's not one of these really small movers that has these meteoric rises. So I wouldn't necessarily put this, to me, looks like a really good reaction to this piece of news. Let's take a look at some of the volume and short interest stuff on this. 16.34% of the float is shorted with 4.66 days to cover. 3.26 million shares are held short. Unlike some of the other ones, I do think there is potential short squeeze action here. Yep. Although it's not high, it's definitely elevated, and it's actually quite close to those thresholds that we use. Additionally, on average, the stock trades 773,000 shares. It's done only 1.2 million here today. Float on this is just a scotch under 20 million, so 19.979 million. 13, what do you think here? NKTR.
I think it's pronounced Res Pegaldislucan.
Let's go. He did it.
And now I might be Finnish, but so I don't know. So that's I think how it's pronounced, and I don't have a whole lot to add to the company's profile because the short interest I think is really one of the components we're seeing here as to why we got this move. The company does have plenty of cash, even though it burns a lot of it. It's got plenty of cash in the bank and in short-term investments. So don't think they're going to need to raise any capital here. And I didn't cover this one, so I didn't go into their atopic dermatitis drug, or anything like that. But looking at the chart, it seems like we're trying to hold above 46, and if we lose that, the next support area I see is going to be down at 30, just under 30. I'm sorry, 43. Did I say 36? I meant 46. 46 is a support area from where we're at right now. Beneath that is 43 and the VWAP. We might see some more, short squeezing with this one, but probably not until after we open. It looks like it's going to potentially go just a little bit higher, but I think I would wait for a slightly lower print. Maybe it comes down to 45 before it does that launch pad. Also, this one still very spready as well. Looks like this is about a 75 cent spread. So just be careful with this one as well. Okay.
And that spread might tighten up a little bit when the market opens here. And a pullback to VWAP here, it takes us to about 42. I've got the VWAP here at 41.82. A pullback to the VWAP would actually look pretty good. Ari Stock Market here says, I've got some of this nectar. I love the company. They've got a great pipeline, and it might also be a takeover target. Okay. Nice. Ari Stock Market, today is a good day for it.
Yeah, listen to Ari on this one because he's clearly done more research on this than I have.
Might go back down to the open, but long term, this is great. Lion saying the same thing. It's extended here. So if you like the story here, it's definitely worth a pullback. We'll see what we get in terms of trading action here, but good stuff. NKTR. Nice that we have kind of a real company on the movers list moving on real news. That's to me, it's always better. It's always better that way than when we're just kind of grasping at straws, so to speak. Okay, next stock on the list here looks like it's popping recently here, and it's one that we've talked about before. So Velo, this is this 3D printer for the space theme that we have talked about. Well, gosh, I'm trying to use when did we first start talking about this? This thing.
I believe it was either late last year or early this year because this was going with in this last round of space movement that we had, and because we had some news break about how this company is being used not just for other U.S. military applications but also for SpaceX and making components for their Raptor engines. So and their Sapphire 3D printers, I think they could be as valuable as ASML's lithography machines one day. I mean, if they can refine these and improve these are going to be probably the future of how things are made. 3D printing them, a lot of this stuff.
So what's awesome about, we first started talking about the stock when it was in the single digits. A lot of the movers that we talk about here, 13 and I are telling you, be careful with these. We really don't want you to hold these. Here's one in the minority where it actually worked. Like, this was part of a theme. This was a theme that we had identified and talked a lot about. So this, I just want to point out how clearly different a stock like this is. Maybe it does come back in. Maybe it's moved a little bit too much, too fast here, but nonetheless, you're not getting that big pullback offering smash down to penny territory the day after in a stock that has a supporting theme in addition to the news there. So just good to see Velo actually perform here for our group.
I have to say, though, this is one of those stocks, those very stocks where we would tell you not to hold this. We would tell you to, just day trade it and avoid it, because if you look at the history of it, you could go to like a weekly or a monthly chart. This thing has reverse split. It has risen capital many times. So this is just like all the other ones we've been trading. However, some of these companies do end up cleaning up their balance sheet. They start pulling in more revenue. They start making more deals, getting more contracts. They end up becoming a real company. I think this is going to be one of those companies. And if it isn't, it's probably going to get rolled up and taken over.
Okay. Really good stuff there on Velo. Did we actually even take a look at the news, or did we just start popping off? Velo 3D selected as the first qualified additive manufacturer vendor for the U.S. Army's Ground Vehicle Systems Center's campaign of accelerating qualified AM solutions. Yikes, that was also a mouthful. It's been selected as the first qualified additive manufacturer vendor to support the U.S. Army's ground vehicle systems. That was much better English there. Throughout the defense industrial base. So this actually looks pretty good. It seems to me, based on this news 13, that the 3D printing capabilities are spreading from just space to some other Army applications here for ground defense. That is probably a really good thing for the actual long-term trajectory. 17.04% of the float is shorted with 1.28 days to cover. On average, the stock trades 1.5 million shares. We've done just shy of 1 million here today. It is worth noting that while we don't have rankings yet, we don't have a value, quality, momentum, or growth ranking yet because of its metrics. It is in an intact short, medium, and long-term trend, and actually has some analyst coverage as well. Float on this 12.25 million. Where do you think it goes here today, 13?
Well, I don't know where it's going to go today.
Well, I'm going to keep asking you the tough questions.
I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get back up to the 1690 that we got. I mean, it's great news. And, the float's still low enough to where this could get pushed around. Maybe it does go higher today. Let's see here. Maybe we see, because, 1527, that's where the 200 EMA is. We're past that right now. Maybe, what's the high that we put in? Was it 16 and what was it? Is it 16 what?
This morning?
Yeah, just now.
Yeah, 1690s. It looks like. Let me see if I can get you that exact value. So 1689.
Okay, so we ran right up to the consolidation from earlier this year in January. The top consolidation area. Mm-hmm. There was some support there around 1685, 1690. Where we ran up to, and since we lost that was back on January 23rd. We haven't been able to recapture that. And it looks like we had a candle on the 28th, January 28th, that tried to recapture it, and that also failed. So it looks to me like that's this area that it ran up to, big resistance area that we need to get past. And if we do, we'll see 20s, I think.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on Velo. I'm thinking here for today, if it can really kind of hold the area that it's at right now, that would be its VWAP area. Probably get an opportunity to load this thing for another move towards the highs. We've seen it before with Velo. Here was an example just on Friday. I know there wasn't a news catalyst here, but it was higher in the pre-market, dipped out of the open, then ripped into the end of the day. Maybe we get something similar. Really good mention here about us being up at this recent resistance area. So really good breakdown there on Velo. Okay, next here, I've got ticker DDL, and this is Ding Dong. Yes, I'm serious. This stock is up 16.98% here. You can actually see this traded right back to where we were Thursday. Now, with this one here, if I recall correctly, this is a China name. First of all, it does have some news here today. Ding Dong announces the intention to utilize substantial majority of proceeds from the sale of its China operations for a share repurchase plan and or dividends upon closing of the transaction. Now, I'm skeptical of this because share repurchases and dividends from Chinese companies, I don't know how much I trust that, but nonetheless, this is what the news is, and it's good. So it's driving the stock higher here by 15%. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 1.82% with 1.6 days to cover. That's negligible. That's not going to play in here at all. On average, it trades 2.13 million shares. It's done 2.53 million here today. Float super thick with 3 C's, 154.59 million. What do you think here on Ding Dong?
So yeah, last week they had news that the company agreed to sell its China business for 717 million. So where's this 997 million figure coming from? Is what I want to know. Maybe there's other stuff that they've sold, or the I don't know if they changed the value. It seems like a wild amount to change it by, and I thought that agreement was definitive. So I guess I'm in that camp with you. I don't know about this one, and it's kind of seems like the company's just finding a way to pay itself, or it's big guys that are in this. I'm very skeptical about this one. Float 154 million shares. That's very heavy, and I wouldn't be surprised if this struggled to trade in the regular session. We've seen these heavy float movers not perform too well. They tend to, maybe give a little bit of price action, but they spend most of the day just slow leaking. So I'm not sure that there's going to be a great trade here. Maybe there is, but I've never heard of this company. And it just seems odd, given the news that we've been seeing here, the sale price going from 17 to 997 in a week. I don't know about this.
Yeah, your trepidation here is warranted. This is definitely something I think is very, very risky. I would be very careful with this if you do opt to trade this here today. Lion here says no ding dong junk. Yeah. Very, very clear about where he's going. Okay, really quickly here, we talked a little bit about Credo early in the stocks in focus during the news section here. That's higher after the company released preliminary earnings results. It's doing a really good job holding here, maybe 150 as a potential next leg up. We also talked briefly about Datadog. We talked about this yesterday. Datadog, App, Unity, these are all in that IGV ETF that you folks were trading. IGV's got to be higher here today. I think Unity also beat earnings. Yeah, IGV higher by just about 1%. This actually looks like it's going to take out 86. Lion, that was a really good call yesterday. Unity got mentioned earlier here by Billy. This is trading higher. Earnings are actually tomorrow, but this is still higher here in the pre-market. And then also Spotify. This was trading. We actually talked about this on Happy Hour yesterday. Really, really rough looking chart. Looks very similar to Netflix, if not identical. And here it is. Pull back down to this 400-ish level. We're bouncing 11.73% on the back of its earnings result here for Spotify. So I actually didn't go through the Spotify EPS 516 beat the 295 estimate. Wow, big beat there. 5.27 billion beat the 5.16 billion estimate on sales, and it looks like total monthly active users plus 11% year over year. Okay, 13, I'm going to visit the washroom here before we start. What do you got, and what chart would you like me to throw up?
You could put IGV up. I was just going to say, I think you think you want to keep an eye on that $90 area. That's the top of the consolidation area
1 second.
That we were experiencing back in 2021 and in 2024. So that same consolidation area, I would be keeping an eye on because I think the price is going to trade around in there for a short period of time. There was also another one you folks were mentioning, FIO pulling towards Viva before the bell. Okay. What else was? So Race was another one that reported earnings. Hakeem, if you're out there, congratulations. This is one you were looking for a good earnings print. We talked a lot about this one in Happy Hour. This one went down to the consolidation channel. Didn't quite enter it. It teased entering it. Got its foot in the door, but never fully walked in. That was down around 330, where that top of the consolidation channel is. So it looks like we are getting a rebound off of that, but we still have the task of trying to recapture the 20-day SMA. No, I'm sorry. We're going to be past that now because of the earnings. So we're trying to recapture the 50-day SMA now. So we'll have to see if we hold above that. That's that hasn't been recaptured or hasn't traded up. We haven't seen the price trade above the 50-day SMA since October 8th. So this is a pretty important day for race. Hopefully this goes higher. Looks like if we do clear the 50-day SMA, the next big resistance is going to be about 400.
Okay, so you were covering race. I actually did want to take a look at that here real quick. Awesome that you were covering it. Check this out for my daily chart. Since we chart this in the happy hour, look at where this thing found support.
Yep.
Interesting stuff here. Really good.
Love it.
13. Okay, I love it too. We're open. See what we got.
Okay, so FIO kind of trying to get some support from the most recent resistance area that turned into support. It's not looking like it's behaving with support very well. Need to pull itself back above 140. ABP, this is starting to go. This just moved over the VWAP and it's trying to hold over the 65 EMA. Maybe this one starts getting going here. Nectar, NKTR. This one, is this the heavy float one? I don't think it is. This one also trying to push up here. 49.17, 49.19 now. VELO, this selling off.
Uh-oh.
Ding Dong, this also coming back in a little bit. So far, not a whole lot of upside here in these names except for NKTR.
Okay, I seem to be having an issue with my scanner, so I'm sorry. I'm going to take care of this. 13, keep going.
All right. Let's see what else you guys got here. VSTS, Kathy is mentioning. Let's see what that one's about. This is Vestis Corp. They had earnings today. Looks like it was good earnings because they are up much higher now. They had mixed earnings, but it looks like the guidance might have been the thing that's taking it higher right now. Let's see where this one goes. So we're getting a little bit of a rebound in some of these names. FIO slowly, not quite recovering yet. ABP sideways, and KTR, that one hit 50. Looks like Velo is trying to climb back up as well. DDL, that's trying to go positive, getting some support from the 9 EMA. And VSTS kind of slowed down all of a sudden. This one has some decent short interest. 16.73% of the float shorted, 7.46 days to cover. VSTS, that is a short squeeze candidate, folks. All right, looks like ABP wants to try to get going here. Let's see if it's what direction it chooses. It looks like it's getting support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute right now, but also resistance from the 65. So whichever direction it breaks, that might be the way it goes for a short period of time. And none of these movers really doing a whole lot this morning. What else is looking good out there, folks? Space is dipping. Yeah, it kind of seems like it's muted for now. Netflix up 2%, says Joe. Mo is saying SMX, LOL. Oh, wait, SMX. I think I know which one this is.
Security Matters. That's one that we trade all the time here, indeed.
Yeah. So they align with a $250 million capital commitment with a multi-year execution horizon. That was news yesterday, and it seems to be carrying into today. Now, is this capital raise? It doesn't look like it's through dilution.
I am struggling so much. I am so sorry here, guys. Just give me one sec.
Spotify also, don't worry. I'm just going to keep talking.
I know.
Here.
I'm just frustrated. That's all. I'm sorry for showing it.
All right. Let's see. So Spotify went all the way up to almost the 20-day SMA and near the 500-day SMA, and we're kind of struggling right in that area. This would be an interesting conversation piece to have in the happy hour. because we were
Okay.
talking about that area. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Sorry, I got my bearings here. So really quickly, big move out of the gate here on a lot of names. Goldman Sachs, Tesla, PayPal. I had to pinch myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Netflix also right to that 84 spot. So looks like we got a little bit of a pump there. The S&P's initial move was higher, although that's paring back some of its gains. Looks like NASDAQ has turned around, and the Dow is screaming here out of the open.
Why is the Dow screaming? What's lifting it? Let's see here. What sectors are having a good morning?
Here's what I can do for you. Let me go to the index scanner here. And let me take SPY out of here. And what we'll do is we'll do the holdings of the diamonds. And let's see what we got here. So we've got nice gain here on Dow and Disney, AXP, and Home Depot. We really only have one laggard today, and it's Coke. So most of the Dow here is positive. There's a lot more in the positive direction here than there is in the negative direction. So that it looks like that's what's going on. Interestingly enough, Coke traded with the highest relative volume so far from all of the Dow stocks. So.
All right, looking back at some of these movers, GDDL. I'm sorry, I said 3Ds. DDL, ding dong. This one came down to to a support area from the pre-market when it went after its first impulse move, when it went a little bit sideways and then moved higher. So we're down at that support area around 305. But if we lose that or go under 3, then this might not be anything worth trading until possibly the afternoon if it comes back.
Okay, and really quickly, your Nectar, I don't know if anyone traded this. I know it was a little bit spread, still pretty spread here, about 20 cents. But the first move here was higher, went right to 50 and stopped there.
Being held by VWAP right now. Let's look at a daily chart, see where we can identify some more levels. So, I mean, this could go to 54 before I think it runs into some real heavy resistance. Looks like there's a resistance area about 51.50, but I'm not sure. I think that's as strong as the one at 54.
Okay, core retail sales, a positive print here. Really quickly, Laura in Florida said the Dow is screaming because of what Trump said. I don't have it here in the news feed. Perhaps I missed it. Let me know what those comments are. But nonetheless, here, core retail sales month over month for December, that came out earlier. That was 0 versus the 0.3 expected. Core retail sales month over month for December. The prior was revised from 0.5 to 0.4. And the retail sales year over year for December, 2.4% versus the 3.33% prior read. All of those, the news desk has denoted with a positive sentiment of our highest order. That perhaps why the market is running here out of the gate. Here's your look at FIO. This pulled all the way back to the VWAP. It's holding it right now.
Yeah, from here, it did come down to a support area around 125. Next one beneath it is going to be 120, then the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Looks like ABP is finally choosing a direction. It looks like it's down. We'll see if this current candle ends up closing underneath the 200 EMA or if it recaptures it before it does. But this is the first print of the session and the since yesterday of going underneath the 200 EMA.
Nectar now 51.88, 52 test coming on Nectar. Boy, oh boy, that thing is spread and not easy to trade. But if you were already in it, like Ari stock market, what a morning for you. Let's go, Ari. Let's go, Ari. That is awesome. Real quickly here, just taking a look at some of the stocks on the scanner. The IREN here, this had a monster day yesterday. Congrats to anyone that traded it. Actually looked like it traded up towards yesterday's intraday highs right out of the open and couldn't break it yet. I would keep an eye on that spot. Got that at about 47.25 here. That's IREN, IREN.
VSTS, Kathy is pointing this out. This is moving right now, making new highs as I speak. 955 current high.
Okay, so this was a nice rip out of the open. And also looks like, so you had your impulse move here in the pre-market to pull back to the VWAP, and then it went. So this is on earnings.
Yeah.
10 cent beat the 6 cent estimate. Sales missed slightly, and they guided 2.68 to 2.73 billion. This is higher by almost 30%.
FIO coming in more. ABP, that still trying to hold above the 200 EMA, so that did slightly recapture it. We'll see if this can turn back up. Nectar almost hit 52. Velo is down under $15 now. DDL, ding dong.
I love it.
This is not looking good. But we expected this.
We tried to prepare you for it. That's for sure. Palantir. So I don't know if you saw this, 13. I'll link you the article. Michael Burry says that there's a head and shoulders here on Palantir and thinks it could sell off 50%. Lion said there's no head and shoulders and told Michael Burry to stuff it earlier. That was entertaining. Palantir here down out of the open, still higher from yesterday's close, but it looks like we might be trying to test that 200 EMA there, 143.5.
So there is a head and shoulders, and that's the whole reason why I said this was going to go lower, and lower it did go. And I don't think we're done. I mean, it's clear as day. There's a head and shoulders. So
I'm not disputing it.
I don't know where there isn't one. Michael Burry is a little bit late, if you ask me. We've been talking about this, for probably since January. But okay.
Yeah, Retro says yes, Burry, go away. Okay, so I don't. Do you have any price target where you think this is going to go, Palantir?
Yeah, we've talked about how this could go down to $90. That's where I think it's going to go.
Okay.
There's going to be. We've also talked about how there's going to be a brief stop, like around 120, because there's a support area there. I don't think it holds. I think ultimately the bottom's going to be down around 90.
Okay. All right, Palantir so far holding on to green territory. It's up by 1%. We'll see if that turns around at all. The best trade of the day here, at least per the scanner, is going to be Tesla. Perhaps TSLL with this your levered ETF. This went right to 425 and backed off here. This is what TSLL looks like. I guess this is only up 40 cents, but it's trading on some pretty good volume right now. IREN, CIFR, a couple of you were talking about the miners yesterday. It looks like they're continuing their good day yesterday.
VSTS, that's trying to push higher right now. Velo, this is giving almost the entire move back. Nectar, just on the doorstep of 52. ABP, getting support from the 200 EMA. We'll see if this can turn around and take out the 65 EMA. And then FIO, this continues to leak, but it's getting some support from the 125 area at the moment. We'll see if it can recapture VWAP, but if it can't, likely going to come down to 115.
You know, I'm watching VSTS here. I'm actually watching this in my broker. It does look like the high here was 965, but it does look like there's some actual sellers here that they're struggling to take out, clustered around 950. So I actually see one there at 945. He might be walking it down a little bit right now. There's also another one at 950. So VSTS, this might be approaching a resistance area. We'll see if it's got the strength to move through it. The initial volume here is good, but we might be setting up for a bit of a regression back to the mean here. Folks, as someone hinted earlier, tried to make a joke about Playboy and all of that stuff. We do have an all access coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's not even 10 minutes long. So we're going to play that one. And then 13 and I are going to come back here and finish it off for you. So no shortened show here today, but we are doing an all access in the next couple of minutes.
ABP broke through the 65 EMA after getting support from the 200 EMA. This one's coming up. It looks like 285 could be the next resistance area, 285 to 290.
Okay, so this is going to be resistance area 1 on a trade here. I would definitely I'm not saying that you should, but I would definitely lighten part of the position here. We saw a lot of these movers that ended up trading up to their VWAP resistance level yesterday, end up getting rejected there and not having the strength to continue through it. I would just plan for that here today. Datadog. So this reported earnings here. This went higher. Remember, this also part of the IGV trade that we talked about. Datadog shares are trading higher if the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued Q1 sales guidance above the estimates. This actually hit a high at 137-ish right in the pre-market. We've come back into VWAP. If this holds here, maybe DDOG setting up for a long side swing trade here.
I don't think Palantir is going to go to 90. That's fine. A lot of people thought I was wrong about Netflix, and now they're all wrong.
Oh, well, 13 is just snappy here today. I love it.
ABP still going. Looks like this is coming up to potentially 3. Sellers are starting to pile into this. Looks like we're getting a rejection in NKTR around that 5270 area, but we're still holding above VWAP.
Baiynd, when I say someone, it's because I can't place who said it. You can't expect me to remember all of those. Please don't take it as offense. And what happened to the no kings and all that nonsense? Why are you calling me a king? Wink, wink. I know Ryan means little king, but I mean, come on. I thought this no kings. Oh my God, come on.
Mo's, you're hitting it pretty right on the head there. This really isn't the market for small caps right now. We haven't seen 100%. We haven't seen 100% runners in a minute. So we've kind of hit that top, and we're going to be probably more value oriented for a little while. There will still be some movers, but I think those bigger names are going to be more attractive for the time being. Also starting to see some signs of potential recession. So we'll see how that ends up happening.
Yeah, I'm not there yet on the whole recession thing, but I'm in lockstep with you on some of those smaller names. And I think until we start figuring out when interest rates are going to continue to move lower, that might be when you start to see some of the smaller names move. D-Dog, by the way, is moving higher off of that VWAP that we just talked about. Folks, we're going to go ahead and do an all access right here. Producer, hope you're ready to go here because this is the transition. Let's do it. We'll be right back here. Enjoy this all access from Playboy. Hello, Zingers, and welcome back to another All Access. I am back with an exciting guest. Today, we have Ben Cohn from Playboy Incorporated. Ticker is PLBY on the NASDAQ. All Access starts right now. Ben, welcome back. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Look, let me just dive right into it here. Most of the audience will be familiar with Playboy as a brand, but can you walk us through the company as a business and specifically the steps that you've taken to achieve strong profitability momentum in 2025?
Yeah, definitely. So Playboy, obviously one of the most iconic brands ever in the history. It's a brand that's worth billions of dollars. And today we generate almost all of our revenue through licensing. And so we have an approximately $50 million licensing business, very high margin. Think about it as sort of a 75 to 80% net margin business. And so that produces a lot of cash flow for us. And then in addition to that, we own a preeminent lingerie business out of Australia called Honey Birdette. And that business has shown phenomenal growth in 2025, and that's continuing as we move into 2026 as well.
Okay, amazing. Now, from a geographic perspective, how does Playboy manage growing revenue streams in overseas markets?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, this brand is extremely strong everywhere in the world. We sell product today in over 100 countries. For the international market, we have two different strategies. One is we have a licensing agent in CAA, Creative Artists Agency, that represents the brand on a global basis from a licensing perspective. And then in addition, obviously being such a well-known brand, it's no shortage of phone calls that we get looking for opportunities or people looking for opportunities to license the Playboy brand in those markets. And so, from clothing to gaming to beverages to hospitality, this is a brand that is so unique in that it can play in all of those categories. It's really that sophisticated James Bond lifestyle brand. It's a brand that used to have Playboy clubs. It used to have casinos, et cetera. And so, we're very lucky, and I'm very lucky to be the steward of that brand moving forward.
Okay, that sounds really exciting too. Look, on the topic of international revenue streams, can you walk us through the decision to sell 50% of your China business and the financial benefits that you'll be receiving?
Yeah, so look, it's a great deal for us moving forward. We have agreed to sell 50% of our China business to United Trademark Group, or UTG. UTG is actually an ex-licensee or past licensee of the company. They manage the Jeep brand in China, Dickies, et cetera. They do almost $2 billion of revenue. When you look at the history of Playboy in China, it's a country we've been in for 30 plus years. We had a business that pre-COVID, we were making $40 million a year net coming out of China. Obviously, COVID took a big impact to that. And then you have the geopolitical issues, that have plagued the China-U.S. relationships. I think for us moving forward, we had to sue our ex-partner. We won that lawsuit last year. We won $81 million against that partner. We're in the process of collecting that. but really thinking about strategically, how do you return Playboy to what it was in China? And can you even exceed those expectations or what it was historically? And I think the way to do that, we've seen Starbucks do this, selling a part of their China business, Gap doing the same exact thing, is really being in partnership with a strong local operator that has real skin in the game. And that's exactly what we've done with UTG. They've guaranteed us $122 million of payments. We're going to use a minimum of 50 million of that to continue to delever the company. We've taken debt on the company from 220 to 160. This will take us down another $50 million from a leverage perspective. But more importantly, they're going to be the operator of the business moving forward. So we're moving from what was a licensing business to a partnership with someone that's going to be an operator. Now, our stake is we're going to own 50% of the IP. We're going to have nothing to do with operations. We've embarked on this asset-light strategy. But they're going to invest real money into the brand to return Playboy to what it was in China. They're also taking on other operational aspects. So trademark defense, trademark registration, all of the things that we've been trying to manage out of the United States. That will now be done locally with a partner that has real skin in the game in China. And so not only have we guaranteed our cash flows that we're currently making out of China for the next 8 years in this deal, but we have 50% of the ups, and then we're further simplifying our operation by moving some of these functions that we've had to manage internally to our partner in UTG moving forward. And so, it's going to be immediately accretive to earnings. It's a great deal, and it's part of the strategy we've embarked on for the past 2 years, which is moving to this asset-light strategy with significant upside. And I think we'll have that in our partnership with UTG moving forward.
Okay, that's great. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Now, look, leveraging story has been a hot topic for investors. What milestones should they be on the lookout for in 2026 as the company continues to pay down that debt?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're focused on. So if you look at 2025, right, and obviously we haven't reported the fourth quarter yet, but first 3 quarters you showed consistent and constant EBITDA growth, adjusted EBITDA growth, and you also saw us in the third quarter have our first profitable net income quarter since we've gone public. So we've taken the costs out of the business. This transaction will allow us to not only take what was in China somewhat risky cash flow to something that is guaranteed, but provide significant capital to continue to delever that company. So as I said, we went from 220 to 160 of debt. We have a lot of cash on our balance sheet today. This will allow us to take debt down to 110 million, and given the cash flow generation of the business, we plan to continue to delever the company moving forward. We're lucky enough that we have $400 million plus of NOLs, so we're a non-tax paying entity. Provides a lot of tax shelter. Debt doesn't really help us on the interest costs in providing that tax shelter. It does hurt us in that it limits how much we can invest back in the brand, something that we started doing in 2025 and will continue to do in 2026, especially with bringing back the magazine as sort of that anchor of our content strategy. Even though we know that the bulk of the content strategy will be digital, the magazine is important. And so we will continue to delever the company moving forward. My goal, not to say it's going to happen in 26, but my goal is to take our interest expense to zero and get rid of the rest of our debt.
Okay, that sounds like exactly the right plan. Ben, look, thanks so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it.
Ryan, thanks for having me.
All right, that is Ben Cohn, CEO of Playboy Incorporated. The ticker is PLBY on the NASDAQ. Now, sending it back to Ryan. All right, thanks, Ryan. And guess what, 13? As if we did something there, Playboy here actually popping. So ticker PLBY. This had a nice move yesterday on the back of the news that we just covered there in the All Access. Looking like it's getting a little bit of an extension here today, maybe 240 next. The volume not as high as yesterday, so we would want to look and see if that creeps up here at all, but pretty good. Also, in the meantime there, for all of you SPY 0 DTE traders, got a nice move right here on SPY. So pretty much right as that interview started, this thing bottomed and bounced. We're actually at the top end of the range here. 20 cents on the 0 DTE calls for the 697 right there. Really nice move. Nice move here on SPY. Nice bounce.
Well, while that was going on, FIO, I took a trade in that. that recaptured its VWAP and pushed a little bit higher. This was getting support from 125,
Nice.
turned around. So I don't know how great this is going to be. Maybe it goes back up to 158, but that was one of the trades I did. I also was taking some profit on MUD before. I just looked at it for the first time since it hit 430. That had a nasty knife just recently. And then we also had, let's see, Velo is trying to turn around. VSTS, that went up to 980, and that's losing VWAP now. And then there was also NKTR. That went up to 55 exactly. And this is, I think, the area where I mentioned earlier where we could see some resistance. So I'm anticipating Nectar to potentially start pulling back here or going sideways. I think this is the area where that consolidation from earlier this year is going to suppress the upside price action. Maybe it does push through, but I think this is going to be a tough resistance area for the stock.
Okay, we'll see what Nectar does here. This FIO trade was awesome, 13. I know you said you don't know how high it goes. We never do. That's okay. Look at the plan here. Pull back to VWAP, held the VWAP, expanded the volume, pushed away from the VWAP. This is exactly the type of action that we're looking to try and take advantage of. 13, that was a great job. The SPY is continuing to bounce. So that is actually... that continues to go here. If you're in those 0 DTE calls, these are now a double from the entry down there at 30 cents. I was out at 20 cents. Nice move here on the SPY. Nice little bounce here. I'll tell you what, those 0 DTE calls, those are fun to trade. Those are fun to trade.
I'm looking for Velo to recapture VWAP and perhaps go back into 15. That might happen here pretty soon if we just get a little bit more volume. But this on the 5-minute chart, nice series of reversal candles here, especially the one that hit the 65 EMA. This looks like buyers are stepping in over the past 15 minutes, and they want this to go back up over VWAP. So we'll see if they end up getting that. But clearly, buyers stepping in here down in the 14 handle, the lower.
And
14.
Datadog, we are now 4 points higher than the VWAP hold that we just talked about. This also plays into IGV. I know some of you are trading the ETF move, but this Datadog recapture here on VWAP, pretty good.
Getting a mention here from Pretty Panda. JZXN is on a rally right now. He's saying that Saudis entered the order book.
JZXN. This is one of those China pump names, right? So you're saying that this move higher is just on some of that pumpiness there, I'm guessing? Saudi Arabia entering the order book?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like
what it's saying.
It sounds like a kind of Tesla almost. They make new, and they call it new energy. It's their EVs. But they also have a solar angle. They deepened their cooperation with Xinhui Solar. So it sounds like a lot like what Tesla is. They make EVs. They do solar. I'm sure batteries are probably a segment of this company as well. But I mean, then you also have the very low float of 1.32 million shares. So I think that also plays into why this is moving so easily.
Okay. Really good stuff here. SPY continuing its bounce. Meta ran from that trade just a tad too early there, but that's okay. And love hearing this. Made some change with Datadog. Bang. We'll give you a register ring on that. Datadog continuing to trade higher here. 131 now. I do think 137 is possible. Might have some more resistance up here at 132. We shall see. Good stuff there.
Sure. Pretty Panda also mentioning ASTI. This is another solar name. So what's going on with solar at the moment? Is something happening with solar? Let me look at some of these other solar names here. So TAN isn't going up. It's FSLR. Is that doing anything?
Bucking this trend. This is down, although it is bouncing off the lows on EMPH. They recently had earnings.
Yeah. So just kind of interesting to see that right away, two companies with solar angles are kind of moving right now. But I don't see any news associated with all of them, so not sure why that is. Yeah, FSLR is down, and it looked like TAN was down as well. Vig is running, says Lance.
And a lot of sellers there, 135 for Datadog. Okay, that was still a pretty nice move there above its VWAP, though.
Yeah, Figma also up. This one... Wow. I don't know about this one. It's not a lot of volume that they have here. It's moving. It's great that we're getting this upside movement here. I don't know on what, but this float is quite large, and the volume isn't that big, so it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of traders moving this. So we could see this come back in pretty quickly too.
Someone wanted to take a look at Now earlier. I'm sorry I couldn't fit it in when we were taking a look at that. It does look like some of these software names may be bouncing after getting absolutely destroyed. Now up another 3.77%. Here's a look at the daily chart. So maybe we've kind of put in the bottom. Really what I would like to see this get back above there is that 9 EMA. This is what we talk a lot about with the active traders from T3 there. 9 EMA is something we watch a lot for day trading here along with the VWAP. Got it there at 110.60. We'll see if Now can end up getting above that 9 EMA on the daily. Nice little move here out of the open. Pretty decent volume, although I think I'd like to see that expand. Software looks like maybe bouncing a little bit here. And that SPY bounce that we talked about looks like it stopped just shy of 696, currently at 695.5 here today. Michael says, we appreciate you guys. Michael, I appreciate the kind words. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe, maybe even turn on notifications. All of that stuff helps us and the algorithm get more people in our amazing community looking at stocks. That's exactly what we were looking for here.
So FIG, real quick, just to wrap this one up.
They put it on screen.
If this continues to climb, you have the 20-day SMA at 26.88. That's also pretty close to the low from January 21st, which was 26.79. I think if this continues to climb, that's going to be a big resistance area for the stock. So just keep that in mind if you're trading this. That might be the spot where you lighten your position, take profit, do whatever you want. But that looks like a resistance area to me.
Okay.
IGV says Lion. Is that continuing to climb? I still think that goes to 90 before it runs into trouble.
86.5 here today, 13. And it's been a nice move yesterday. We've got some continuation on that move here today. Indeed. Michael says, I got you. Appreciate you. You want to take a look at Google? Let's do it. This has actually been one of the better tech names. I still like this. This to me is an add-on dips here. You're thinking of putting out a buy order there, 306.89 to match the low from Thursday. Very, very specific, but I totally get it. Here's what I'm thinking. I think that your plan is spot on. I think as long as it holds this area here, which is probably the number that you gave me right to the penny, as long as it holds this area, Google might try for higher. I will say the one thing that I don't love here, we recaptured the 50-day yesterday and we gave it up already here today. Let's see if we can actually get a close above 322.38. Now, that's not to say you might not get an opportunity to load down here if it pulls in and holds that low. But looking for more of this upside, look what's happened here. Look how the stock has interacted with its 50-day. The last time it came in here was June 23rd of 2025, and we went. That stock was $165 that day. It is $317 here today. So this 50 extremely important. I would definitely want to be above this. For some more upside. And you can see when we've been below it, when we've tried to actually cross that moving average, we have definitely found some resistance here. So to me, 322.38, maybe call it 322 and a quarter or 322 to 322.50. That seems to be important on a closing basis here for Google.
Price action all of February so far still looks a little bearish to me. I think this may end up coming down to 300. Where there could be some better support, maybe a little bit underneath 300, but the price action doesn't look like we've shown really to me any signs of recovery yet. It looks more like we could lose that low that we made on the 5th. So that's what I'd be watching for. And to your point about the 50-day SMA, if we recapture that and start holding above it, then I don't think that happens. But to me, it looks like we could still go lower.
Okay, and one more thing here, that spot that you were talking, I'd ask Michael here. Michael, if you take initial entry there at 306 and change, what are you doing at 300? Are you looking to stop out of that? Or do you have a longer term time horizon here? Or maybe you'd consider adding? One other thing to keep in mind is that by the time we make it down to that level, you actually might have this 100-day creep up towards that 300 and support it there. So you might actually get another support here if this thing comes up. Or if this thing holds, if it doesn't really drop all that quickly and gives enough time for the 100-day to come up. So we'll see there on Google. Good stuff. Still like this. Still think adding Google here on weakness is probably the way to go.
just was looking at something here. Joe said, market didn't seem to like Google funding its CapEx with these 100-year bond things. So I haven't looked at that, but you made me think of AT&T and how far out their debt is, matures or is due. So it seems like when it comes to these communication stocks or these infrastructure communication stocks or telecoms, those are kind of going to be the thing that they do. But I'd have to look and see what Google's actually selling. It doesn't seem to, completely unusual given what AT&T's done in the past. But that does seem pretty new for Google.
Okay, Oracle here continuing its bounce. So I know ORCX, one of the better day trades yesterday. I wasn't going to hold that overnight, but a little bit of continuation here. Oracle through yesterday's intraday highs here. Looks like Oracle might continue to trade up here as well.
All right. Trump's statement on Dow reaching 10,000 by end of term is based on SCOTUS ruling in favor of tariffs.
Yeah, so he was basically saying the Dow hit 50,000. He thought it was going to double by the end of his term to 100,000. I would agree completely there with Marty. If the tariffs get removed by the SCOTUS decision, there's just no chance Dow's going to do that.
I agree, Lion. They're gonna be just fine. But every time stocks need to pull back or correct, and Google's one of the ones that still needs to, and their chart doesn't look like it's quite that bullish. It looks to me like we could still go a little bit lower before we find support. Yeah, I know. It's kind of the thing I was thinking about when I was trying to understand AT&T's debt, Jay. There's the debt's so far out. It's like, well, the only entities that are really going to hold this are like companies or maybe other governments, because unless people are just trading those bonds. So no one's going to live to see those mature, of course. Adobe, was this just a rebound on weakness?
Yeah, it looks like it. This is above yesterday's intraday highs, but if you zoom out just a little bit here, you can see we're basically back to where we opened on Friday. So really haven't done a whole lot here, but Adobe looking all right.
Joe, not just AI CapEx, but quantum as well. I think they're one of the far and away leaders in that space. There's only like a handful of companies that I think are, really, really far along in quantum, and Google's one of them.
SPY continuing to take the next leg up here, 696.25 now. I talked earlier about the market sure looking like it wants to make a run to that 700. See if it's able to do that. Jay says, I'm avoiding hyperscalers, prefer the names where the money be spent on. So you're basically summarizing Tim Melvin's entire position here. Tim Melvin said that we're on phase 2 of the AI deployment. Phase 1 was the hyperscalers. Phase 2 was going to be a lot of the infrastructure guys, the thing behind the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where the money is going to be spent. You're going to build out that infrastructure for data centers. There's going to be, we talked about pipe guys yesterday. We talked about steel guys yesterday. Recyclers. Thank you. I knew I was missing one there.
We talked about fiber optic cables and, kind of gushed over how GLW has been phenomenal, but there's another one that hasn't gone yet that could go. OCC was the one we were talking about. That just recaptured its 200-day SMA and the 50-day SMA. We're still holding above it. It looks like it's kind of, running into some resistance prior to the gap fill. So we could get a back test of those moving averages before we go higher, but OCC, looks like this could be a special one here. So
not bad down here at $6 either. This had a pretty good move yesterday. Mo mentioning that buyers are starting to file back into PHIO, PHIO. So this thing, we stopped on that bounce. That was a really good trade, by the way, 13 right off that VWAP. Looks like the volume's tightening up a little bit here. PHIO not yet breaking down. Maybe the buyers can continue to support that. And then Kathy also mentioning AAOI. This has been another fiber optic company. This has been a huge winner for our group. This looks like this is going to continue here as well. Sure looks like this is testing yesterday's intraday highs for a potential move towards 50 today.
AAOI. What was the whole thing that drove this in 2017? Did this have anything to do with I don't think it did with Bitcoin. Probably not. But what was the big driver that took this thing up over 100 in 2017?
What day was that around?
Well, this was in July of 2017. Pretty much, I'm looking at a weekly, so I could see this better. But it's pretty much happened in July when we were topping out, and then end of July we tanked.
Okay, let's jump to date in July and let's see what we had here. You had earnings on July 13th. It looks like those were real good earnings. You had, sorry?
Yeah, that was the week that we got the impulse move that took us up to 100.
Okay, and early in August, you had second quarter results. God, that doesn't make any sense. August 3rd, June, July.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if there was another, event that was taking this up, and if there's any other stocks that look similar to this. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. Seems like a really large move.
August 2017, it participated in a Raymond James field trip that probably got a lot more exposure there. It confirmed that there was no impact from Hurricane Harvey. Boy, that was when the airport was underwater, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Texas
That was
airport. I got a picture of that.
I think that was later in the year.
Yeah, it was in August. It was after July. Yeah. So it looks like this was just moving up here on earnings.
Looks like this is going to 60.
Yeah, interesting. There were takeover rumors back in 2017 as well. Feels like the bulls are trying to hold the stock above the $60 support. Interesting that you just mentioned that there. I'll be honest with you. That's
when I look at the chart, that's where we're.
Hey.
I mean, you can see it back in 2017 where that $60 level initially provided resistance, then became support, and then it was resistance again, and it has not had a visit since. So I think 60 is going to be the spot with this one. I could see it happening.
okay.
Did FIO Dio? Let's see here.
Did FIO Dio?
FIO just came down to the low of the regular session and rebounded, but I don't know that it's done. It might be, but I think for me, it's going to be done if it loses the 65 EMA.
Datadog, that bounce is still working. Congrats to anyone on the VWAP bounce trade there on Datadog. That recapture of the VWAP was excellent. Excellent. Got another 5 points from that move there, Datadog.
Okay. So
how's Nectar doing? That was another one of our big movers. Let me take a look at that. Oh, it's gone.
So that AAOI run was before Bitcoin. So
yeah, that was the pre-Bitcoin run. Here's Nectar. Looks like 55 was the top there. Let's see if this pulls back to a VWAP. I've got its VWAP here, 49.
Oh, yeah.
EVMN. This is EvoMune. This is one of our movers earlier. This thing.
That was yesterday.
Really?
I think it was.
No, I don't think so. EvoMune shares. The company announced top-line results for its phase 2B trial. And this lost everything, man. This thing lost the VWAP in the pre-market. It really couldn't get any bounce past the open. Now we've actually lost the 65 EMA. I think $20 might be next year.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Kathy said, "I'm glad Schwab restricted purchases on this one." Yikes! What a move down there.
All right. Well, not seeing a whole lot from anything right now.
No, the best thing that I saw here today with my own eyes was that bounce in SPY. Man, that thing went right. S&P ES futures here went basically right down. What is this level that we? 69.75. Wasn't Hakeem talking about that yesterday? That level specifically in happy hour. I can never remember all of the exact numbers that he gives, but I'm pretty sure that 69.75 was the level he had outlined. Boy, we bounced hard from that level here today.
I think one of the things that stood out to me yesterday, what he was saying is how if we do go higher up to like in the S&P 500, like to 7,000, that there's a lot of call sellers up there that are trying to maybe exit positions using this liquidity that we have. and they'll just let their shares get called away with that and be out of the positions. And then we could see some big selling after that.
Okay.
So we'll see if that ends up happening. But that's what I was hearing from him yesterday with regard to the options.
Yeah, and Nowhere Man says that S&P rebound was fierce. Indeed, it was. Did you get a piece of that? Because that was a pretty good tradable bounce. Now we're pulling back. Indeed, it is chopping around. And you know what's key about that? We're just talking about 696. We really could not stay above that 696 level. God, I sure think that we're going to get this pop to 700 here on SPY. I just don't know that we're going to hold it, to be quite honest with you.
Playboy has been doing great all morning, especially since the all access. If you draw a trend line from the pre-market high yesterday through the high of the regular session yesterday, that kind of gives us a target that's not too far away.
Oh, dude.
So we could see if this continues to climb, we might see this go all the way up to about 265, 270, and then that might be where the real resistance kicks in. So we'll see if that we end up getting that.
Okay, sell. Happy hour is from 4 to 5 for Pro members. The link to join will be in Pro later today. 4 to 5. That's what we wrap up our day with. One of the best parts of the day, too, by the way. I love waste management. I agree with what you're saying about them just being one of the companies that they're always going to have business. I'm wondering if how much business has increased with the data center build outs, because I think that's going to create a lot of waste during the construction phases. So I'd be wondering if this is something maybe on the that would be one of the later phases of the data center plays, where all the cleanup from the build out is done by waste management. And what is it? RSG, is that the other one? Let me see. It's either RSG or RGS. RSG. I think it's RSG. Yeah.
Yeah, RSG. So that could be the play there after we get a lot of these data centers built out. GFL is really moving in on waste management. Is GFL Environmental? They have earnings tomorrow after the market closes, and they're down at they've come down to a support area, but they still haven't recaptured the 20-day SMA, which they could continue writing that down. Maybe better support comes down around 37.50. I don't want to make any predictions for this. I don't know enough about this, but they do have earnings tomorrow, so that's going to give us some more insight. They are huge, taking over Canada from Waste Management. All right, so we should really get some good information on their earnings tomorrow. Then keep that one in your back pocket for for a future investment. Then GFL after their earnings. I don't know that I'd want to get it before then.
NVIDIA here, we talked about this yesterday. This made a nice little pop yesterday, giving back some of that here today. NVIDIA still feels like it's kind of chopping around here today. Shopify, this has earnings tomorrow morning. Someone mentioned Shopify being up here earlier. Looks like this took a nice little move out of the gate as well. Here's what the Shopify chart looks like. Right back up to a previous resistance area. We'll see if it's able to get through that. EVMN, that is bouncing. That actually recaptured the 65 EMA, although I'm not really buying the strength here. SMX, Security Matters, looks like this is on for round 2 now. This just recaptured its VWAP, bouncing off of the 9 EMA. So yet again, VWAP and 9 EMA seem to be our two best indicators for intraday charts. And 13, I noticed MUD is on the scanner here. MUD actually had a move up to 430 before getting
I was selling that this morning.
Okay. Good stuff.
I still have a little bit, but just we'll see what it does. And then, so with our conversation yesterday about scrap metal, Waste Management also has a scrap metal angle that targets industrial and commercial businesses. So that could be a very good one to add to the scrap metal play that we were talking about yesterday. Ryan?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at something else here. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. What did you need from me?
I was just telling you that with regard to our conversation yesterday about scrap metal companies that are publicly traded, Waste Management has a lot of scrap metal business on the commercial industrial side. So
might that be a play here in some of that info? That would be interesting, because that'd be another angle. If you can tie Waste Management to data centers, that would be something.
Well, I think we were just talking about that, because that was one angle is, we're going to need all the construction data centers cleaned up. So Waste Management's going to be have that angle, but also scrap metal too. So there's two angles there. Mudslide, yeah, it did, didn't it?
I like that. I like mudslide.
I was playing in the mud last week, but now I got cleaned off. AVP, this thing didn't really do a whole lot after it lost the 200 EMA. This looks like it could still go lower. Nectar, well, it got up to that resistance area, but hasn't done a whole lot since. Velo 3D Systems back and forth between 15. Ding Dong, this thing hasn't done a whole lot, but goes sideways after that big drop following the open. VSTS not doing a whole lot either. FIO, this might not be finished. If this can recapture VWAP, I'd be curious to see if this can get over and hold 145.
Okay, I've got VWAP at 130, but I have it flirting right now with its 15 EMA.
Yeah, FIO, if this can get back over VWAP and start recapturing 140, 145, I think we could see some more upside here. Maybe we get back up to the 158 high from the pre-market. There are some sellers in the way with some pretty hefty size there, especially at 150. So that might be an area where we run up to and then have to chomp at in order to get through it.
We got a trend line here that we might need to take out too. Jamie Dimon, good to see you. Recycling trash, computer digits, Bitcoin. You can throw all of your Bitcoin away. Just give it to me. I'll take care of it for you. I will dispose of it. You'll never have to see your Bitcoin again. So I would be happy to help you out there, Jamie Dimon. I'd be happy to take your Bitcoin trash away from you. I won't pay you for it, but I'll take it from you.
Lion, I'm not thinking everything is going to go into data centers, but a lot of the stuff that's moving these markets are tied to data centers. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can tie different themes to data centers. That could be the thing behind the thing or the thing between the thing, like Powell. There's a lot of different, business is going crazy with AI and data centers. So why wouldn't I try to find the angles in stocks to try to make some money? Mobileye moving up. And we also had, nothing. Yeah, I'm filling you that, Buffalo. Nothing's really hitting our targets. Also, Bigaby's mentioning that mRNA straight up from programmed buying.
Yeah, that's been a crazy move higher here. Have not been a part of this one, but mRNA 44 here today. Look at this.
I have a parallel channel that this has been behaving very well in. Maybe you could draw it yourself if you use the high from December of 22 and the high from May of 24, and then just drop that channel down. Yeah, so there, and December of 22. No, more to the right. The high from December of 22.
Yeah, I'm looking for it, man. Come on, give me a sec. Jesus.
All the dates all the years are down there. So
December of 22. That's going to be right down here.
There you go.
Okay. So here to here. And then this.
Yeah, and you can extend it both ways. So we just came up to the mid channel and got rejected, but we haven't broken down. So I think as long as we hold above this 20 and 50-day SMA, we're going to break through that mid channel and it'll take us up to the 200.
That's nice.
So that's just what I have here. But keep an eye on this. It's been very well behaved for the past almost 4 years now in this downward parallel channel. So just something to keep an eye on here. If we start breaking the entire channel, that's going to take us over. If we do it soon, it'll take us over 100. And here we go with FIO. This is coming back up.
I was just going to say this just adjusted on my scanner and I wanted to go to it. And sure enough, through the trend line, right to the 145 spot that you were just talking about a second ago. Here we go on FIO, maybe 160-ish next. 13, I actually have to step away again. I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
No problem. Can you throw that in the HH? I'll remind him when he gets back, Big B's. So yeah, 150 in file right now. That looks to be the resistance area that it's coming up to. We did go a little bit past that in the pre-market to 158. It looks to me like that's going to be the spot to get through there. This 150 to 158, 160. But we do have that seller in the way I mentioned earlier at 150. So that's why we haven't been able to get past that price yet. We need to see more volume than this, but it does look encouraging. MACD is starting to curl up. We're hitting this resistance area. Volume is looking okay, but just need a little bit more of it to take us over that line. Looks like mud is coming back up, so the mud slide might be over. And looking at some of these other names, not a whole lot of price action. Looks like ABP has gone even lower now. This is probably going to give everything back, and if that's the case, it's going down to 160. Nectar hasn't finished yet. It's getting support from the VWAP. If it comes back up, it looks like that 155, I'm sorry, not 155. It looks like that 55 area is going to still be the big resistance level. Bigger Bees was asking if you could throw in that chart you just had into the happy hour chat.
The Moderna one?
Yes.
Sure. Sure.
Buyers took control and file. It looks like they did, but they need a little bit more help if they're going to get through 150. There's a lot of shares to be sold in the way there. Oh, that one's down a little bit.
There you go, Big Bees. Ask and you shall receive. One more thing. I know I've been asked a number of times here about happy hour. It is a Zoom call where we talk and share stuff, but it also has an accompanying chat room in which 13 moderates. So we're there throughout the course of the day if you ever wanted to follow along. And very much like Big Bees just asked here, we are often sharing information and charts and such in that chat channel. So really good opportunity to plug that there. That is the one that my platform defaults to.
Yes, sir. Lots of great idea generation there.
There sure is. Like I said, that call at the end of the day is one of my favorite things of the day.
Looks like Nectar is still trying to push up to that 55 level. Ding Dong trying to make a run for the VWAP here. Volume is pretty low, so be careful if you're going to try this. And FIO.
Possible move right through the VWAP I have here for Ding Dong.
Yeah, and we are getting pretty close to where we see volume lead for the morning. So there might not be a lot of follow through here with some of these names if you're looking to try and take a trade. Just be careful, folks. We are going to get that volume drop off here pretty soon.
Yeah, and you're going to get probably some more chopping around here too. So that's going to be especially important for some of the option players. The shorter the term, the more chop midday. That's what you want to avoid. Jay here saying it looks like there's some bottom fishing in a bunch of the beaten down names like Datadog, Mobileye, TTD, and Dell. Is Trade Desk finally trading up here? Indeed, that's 4% here today. Jay? I haven't seen really anything crazy off of the unusual option scanner today either. I did see some NVIDIA sweeps earlier, but it didn't really produce anything of note. All right, 13, let's wrap here before we move to Anne-Marie. We've got a couple of movers to take a look at, and we'll get you out of here. EVMN, this is going to be one of the first ones here today. This is moving on that phase 2 trial.
Yep.
Very disappointing. Maybe it bounces from down here. I would say if you're going to watch this one, wait for the volume to tell you what the move is and just be careful on this. You got anything on EVMN?
Yeah, this is the one that they did the phase 2A results. They have a phase 2B being planned. So that's going to be more capital leaving the company. They have 2 quarters worth of cash right now, but they have more money in short-term investments that they could turn into cash. So it doesn't seem like they're going to need to raise capital. But just keep in mind that this one is still going through clinical trials that are costly, and that could weigh on the stock's price. If this is going to turn back up here today, we have recaptured the 65 EMA, so good news there, but we need to recapture the VWAP as well. Otherwise, I think this turns around if it cannot do that.
Yeah, I got VWAP 4.5 points away from where it's at now. ABP, this was another one that we talked about here. This basically lost the 200 EMA and really hasn't done a whole lot since then. Maybe this one firms up, but again, I'd wait for that to confirm it. This looks like just kind of a disappointment. Sad trombone here today.
Yeah, this is the one that Goldman Sachs has a 6.8% stake in it, but the company does need cash, so they probably will have to either finance it or raise it somehow. They do have a 44 million flex financing available to them, so it's likely that they're going to go that route. Looking at the price here, this did come down to where when we got this news yesterday, or the first move yesterday after hours, right to the first area where the candle closed. So that area of support is where it's getting a bounce now. But I don't know that this turns back around and starts to recapture 225. That's the next resistance area here. If it can't do that, this is probably going to go back to where it started.
Okay, FIO here. Of all of the junky movers, this one actually gave us a trade here. Really good job trading this one earlier, 13. Looks like this thing really is kind of using the 9 EMA, flirting, or excuse me, the VWAP looks like it's flirting with the 9 EMA right now. I beg your pardon. I actually have a trend line here. So for some more highs, we would probably need to break that trend line. That would be something we'll see if we've got the strength here to do. The volume actually looks good on this name.
Yeah, this isn't too bad. I like the intra session double bottom that we had out of the gate here. That's encouraging. And if we continue with this volume, we should see a break over this 145 resistance area pretty soon. But I mean, like literally, maybe as soon as I get off here, it does it and takes us back up to the 158 high. So that's what I'd be expecting from here. Just a little bit more volume that takes us up and over 145 and potentially into the 150s here. That's what I'm looking here with FIO. If we don't get that, then we come right back down to the 125 support.
Okay, next one here is Ding Dong. This is very quick. Volume's dried up. It's still beneath the VWAP. It's going to need to move through that before we get anything. I don't know if it's going to. The last one here that I want to talk about with you, 13, is going to be Nectar. We talked about this one being real spread, traded up to 55, found some resistance there. This is moving on that results from the 36-week blind maintenance period of its Resolve AD study. So we'll see here if Nectar's got some more. This is already up 44.38%. Pretty nice here today. You got anything else on Nectar before we're done for the day?
Yeah, if you just refer to a daily chart, you can see that we've come up to the area of resistance that we identified earlier from this topping out, which kind of resembles a bit of a double top, almost a head and shoulders, if you will. But that 55 area, big resistance area, we identified that before it got up here. It certainly went up to that area and got rejected. So going to need to see some significant volume to get through all of this consolidation from September to December last year.
Okay, really good stuff. 13, any closing words for the group here?
Hey, folks, another wonderful day. Make sure you hit that like on the way out. Get ready for Anne-Marie. She's going to encourage you to hit more likes, so make sure you strike that, and I'll see you folks tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
All right, perfect. 13, great job. As always, we'll see you on Happy Hour later today. Remember, folks that are asking, Happy Hour is only for pro members, so if you want it, you got to buy it. I'm sorry about that. 13 and I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, 13. His departure leaves room for the one and only Anne-Marie Band. We'll bring her on. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Okay, I'm also doing great. I got your charts up here. What are you seeing here today? I'll tell you what, I know you do more complex options. We had some really nice SPY 0 DTE move right out of the open here. I've since run from that, although it looks like SPY might push higher. What do you have? What are you seeing out there in the options market?
So what I wanted to look at today are a couple of things that are either going to be going right into earnings that we can potentially trade or right after earnings. So, let's have a look. Why don't we look at Datadog?
Perfect.
Because I think it's got a pattern that you could use if you're thinking, hey, I think this looks pretty good. So what this did, here is the earnings candlestick from August of last year. We've come into this area with a gap up. So if it stabilizes, we're looking for a run up into and around 150. So the question is, how long does it take to do that? We had 1, 2, 3 months, looks like, to me. So looking at around April, May, if you want to take that long trade into that space, I think it's got legs after May. Not so sure about what happens there. We've got a lot of seasonality stuff starting to raise its ugly head to give us some downside pressure towards the April-May space. So that being said, let's take a peek there. If you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a second, what can I try something today or for a couple of days to see if it's going to pull itself out and over? Well, here's the great thing. Here's where it reported. It pulled all the way down into 104 and then held 127, came back in, and all the pullbacks have been higher than the 50% mark. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I want to trade this intraday, your stop is going to be right around 115, but you could say, let me see if I can wait for it to come into 115 and then take it long, or just take the risk and say, I'm going to buy an at the money spread that expires at the end of the week or whatever. You could do something pretty dramatic like that. Not particularly in a wheelhouse event that I would choose, but as you know, there are a lot of people moving around in here. And it's not, the 130, 130, the 131, 135 still will give you a 2x if you took it for a couple of days. If you moved into the 20th of February, it's just a couple of pennies more and it'll give you that lift. We've got traders trying to buy the price action up. If you look at the indices, though, we're still just sort of grinding to the north, and that's because they're hedging in there. It's not going to show great, big, exciting moves to the upside because they continually are using the bounces as exit liquidity, particularly in the futures market. So that's something super important to take a look at. That's it for the short term. If you're saying, hey, can we take a look at what this price action normally gives us? It still is. Here's the thing. These guys have missed the earnings. They've missed. Their analysts are terrible is what the storyboard is. Okay. Right? You know what I'm saying? Fire these guys. So they did great here, but they all missed expectations. And here's something super interesting. The earnings was a 4-penny estimate. The actual was 46 cents. The trade came in, they still sold it off before it gave a bounce. And so what do we have? That's this morning, 13 was the estimate, 59 was the actual. I suspect these guys are going to try and get up into this area. If you're willing to give it a little time, which would be good, you can go to April and say, somebody went in with 300 here in the spot. There's not a ton of them. So you want to do something like a spread. You want to do the 140, maybe 150 spread. It's still just $2.60. And so that's a nice return for that space. If you wanted to try and get a butterfly, you might have to leave it in the queue for a bit because the volume is just not there, but it's 65 cents if you can get it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it certainly does look like it's got updraft.
Okay. So Datadog, it looks like we're trying to trade that to the upside a little bit more. Okay. Good stuff there. I don't know. Do you have another one planned?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
Let's take a look at RTX. So this is the war complex, and they reported, let's go to the daily chart and see what gives here. So they reported several days ago, and what they are doing is they broke out of the top and the bottom. So that tells me they're in range formation. And in the range formation, they're very likely to have their bounces by. The next drop off is down to 178. So the question is the following. What gives? In my mind, because I am a simpleton, I will say, all right, what'd they do the last time they were here? Looks like everybody bought. They bought the bottom here in this spot. Now, could they flush through and then buy and come back up into the range? Yes. But the strategy event suggests that if they move up and they move down, they end up moving up. And the big fat round number of 200 is in there. So it looks like it can get to 200. So how do we want to play that? A couple of ways. One, the iron condor, I believe it's sideways. That's why I've got 210 as the breakdown space. And so if you do an iron condor, please, for your own benefit, put an alert at your short strikes so you don't lose the bubble on what's actually happening in there. That's super important. The next thing is, hey, I think it actually might do that 200, 210. And if you buy that, yes, it's expensive for May. And so that's why I don't want to go there. I want to go to, I'll go to March. And let's go to the 200, 210. Well, it's really about the same price as May. The key is, no, the key is not to hang on to this too long. You want to see it hit the 200 and hold that edge or immediately leave. So what you're really looking for is about a 50% return there. If you do the iron condor, you could take both of these, and literally, if it breaches past 210, you're going to make a ton of cash. And here's why. The 210, 220 comes in and it gives you the 144 credit. If it holds and moves from 200 to 210, you've already got $10 in the bag. Then you can look at the difference between the two, which is about $1 that you paid. So you've got $9 sitting there if it goes all the way into 210. And really from the 210 area, it'll start leaking for the lower end. But this is a really nice way to hedge a long position. Your net delta would actually be positive because of the two. And really, it'll use $500 of margin, but you really are getting a $10 spread for just a little bit over $1 if you take both sides of this. So it looks really nice to me.
Now, are you running from that call spread, that vert, if it doesn't go in your direction? Or you hold? Yeah.
Oh, no. 50% stop loss.
Okay,
and,
so just a traditional 50% stop.
Yeah,
you're not tightening that up.
stop,
Okay,
yeah.
just wanted to make sure. Yeah, sorry for
Great
the
question.
slang
No,
there.
great
Running from
question.
it means running from the trade,
Yeah,
stopping
great
up.
question. All right. Let's look at one more. Do you have some for me?
Looks like the group wants to talk about Amazon, but we can do that after Gilead
let's
here.
do Amazon after this.
Perfect.
So here's Gilead. Look at the move Gilead made into earnings. So they report this afternoon. This move is a monstrosity of a move. It is almost 2.5x off of the top. The X crud, I always forget what the biotech ETF is.
IBB?
IBB.
XBI.
Yeah, XBI is the one I was looking at. So this super sideways, not really with trend, not going on. And so Gilead is outperforming the group, but I would suspect that this earnings event is going to be a selling formation only as a reversion to the mean. Why? It looks like this was a buy the rumor. How often do we see this kind of rotation? Not very much into earnings. We can see post earnings after the news, but into earnings, not so much. So what do we expect? At least a rotation down into last week, the beginning of last week, which is 140, but we could also see 125, where it comes right back in to the edge. So let's see if we can get it El Cheapo.
Okay.
Okay, so again, that's kind of weird for me to do something completely directional, but it's just got that vibe. So let's say, first of all, let's say I'm totally wrong. And what this does is expand. The next space is 160 and then 170. So if you're saying, hey, let me hedge. Let me go, 165 to, I don't know, 175. It's 75 cents. You could take the call, the short call at 160 to 165. It gives you $1.59 credit. If I'm totally wrong, what we see is the 165, 175 for 75 cents. If it goes all the way to 175, you make $500 less, about 75 bucks. Does that make sense?
It
You
does.
get in. So this is actually an inverse butterfly, right? Except it's not balanced to give you edge on the upside if it moves forward. So that's the first thing. You can sell the call spread and then buy a call spread if it expands. Now, in today's market, here is what they are expressing as vol. The straddle of at the money is around $8. It's about average. The market makers have got 770 in. This is 790. It's about $8. That's the average move. So if we look at $8, let's round it up, goes to 10, 159 on the upside, 139 on the downside. So what I've done here is use the butterfly for 140, 130, 120. Why? Because I'm thinking to myself, if it starts here and continues to fade 140, 130, 120, it's going to give us a lot of nice room to trade. If you're thinking to yourself, I just want to take a spread, Anne-Marie, then the 130 to 120 is only 80 cents. If you want to take the butterfly, the 140, the 130, 120, it's $1.20. And if you're saying to yourself, hey, I just want to, I'm going long. I don't care what you said about Gilead. They're going to the moon. And that's cool too, right? What I want to do is make sure I always have a balance of, hang on a second, what's actually going on here? And is it a possibility? If it's a possibility, what's the measured move look like? What I am seeing is sharp moves up that are possible, but it's exit liquidity on the upside in general. And so I'm expecting a little bit of a give back, especially since this is vastly outperforming biotech. Okay, you want to look at Amazon?
Yeah, definitely. And real quick here, just while you were going on there, folks, the AS swing trade that I had, the calls, we just sold half of those there at 375. Our cost basis was down there at 280 after we added on the last pullback. So we're going to book gains here. We got 38 days left on the remaining half of that. We got our 40 breakout there on AS. So I trimmed up half of that position. Anne-Marie, let's take a look here at Amazon.
All right. So full disclosure, I am long Amazon.
Awesome.
And was I delighted about a pullback into 200? No. However, what I did see was that beautiful signal that we are seeing now, where it came to the bottom of the inventory box of the last earnings in that price range. And it bounced immediately off of it. Big fat round number. Earnings from October of last year. What is price action likely to do? I think it bounces to 220. Why? Because that's where all the inventory is. What's the fly in the ointment? This area right here at 213. There is a significant group of sellers that will try to keep us under that level. That being said, the pattern for this chart normally goes from one area of inventory to the next. If we stare that down, we can see that that's 213 right here. So if we get in early, we have to think about, what do we think about when it does not go forward or it retests the lower level? So your support leg, no matter what, is the 200 zone. So we need to create an alert there. If you
I don't know if this plays into it at all, but Bezos was doing a lot of his selling right up anywhere between 225 and 230.
Oh, so Bezos was doing selling. Well, what does he have? Like billions of shares?
I mean, it's so ridiculous. Let me see if I can get you an actual figure here. Jeff Bezos, his ending position as of the last transaction, he still has 882 million shares of Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nothing burger for him, right? So
had to fund that wedding.
Oh my God. Is that happened yet? It hasn't?
Oh yeah, that happened. I'm saying he might have been selling in order to fund that thing where he rented out half of Italy.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, the two wives are so different.
I know.
I mean, you're like, wow.
That's a story for another day.
Yes, absolutely. To be continued offline.
Yeah, okay. There's a good one.
All right. So my thought is that it does get into that 220. Here's the fly in the ointment. If it loses 200, 185 easily could be the next leg, because that's the bottom of the next inventory candlestick. And so what would I like to do? Give it a little room to breathe. Just say, hey, I think this is going to run. Do I have enough positions here?
Looks like you like Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, I trade a lot of Amazon. Okay, so let's think about what might the market tell us just towards the end of this month. My suspicion is going to take a look here. We spent 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks down in this pocket where I expect for it to run. We spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 weeks where it's currently sitting. So minimum, we should have 6 to 8 weeks of time to allow the price action to work. So at the end of February is not going to be the greatest move for us, but it will tell us a little bit about future motion if we was straddle. And so that straddle is about $9. That's what they're pricing in for just the next 10 days. If we do it in March, it's $17, which puts us right there where we want. And then April is really what really the one we want to choose, but we're going to be thinking about getting out of it at the end of March, somewhere around there, giving us a little bit of time to do the rotation, or if it immediately hits the mark and continues upward.
Okay.
So that's my thought. If we're looking at the 220, we could go, let's see where they are. Okay, so 215 is the call wall. There's gamma level 2 at 260. And so what do we have? 225 to 235. That's 258. If you think it's going to do that, up for a $10 space. This butterfly will probably fill if you did 225, 235, 245. It's 99 cents or right at $1. And so that gives you a lot of room to run through in that environment moving up. And now, if you're thinking to yourself, I think it's going to 185, then you could just, oh, look, put wall right there
180,
at
yep.
180. So you could take the 185, 180 put, 66 cents. That way, $66 is your insurance policy for holding this. And what we're using as targets are clear levels that the chart has spent time moving around. And that's really why the walls are sitting there, because the traders are super familiar with those price patterns.
Okay. All right, real quick. We only have a couple of minutes left here. Now, you had mentioned at the beginning, you had started talking a little bit about seasonality and how we might be entering. Can we talk a little bit more about that? I know we've talked about how traditionally February is a pretty lackluster or weak month for the market. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times the seasonality has us bottoming somewhere mid-March, which would be awesome. Mm-hmm. We haven't necessarily seen a lot of the seasonality hold up here. So how are you approaching this? Are you kind of pulling back or maybe sizing down a little bit?
Definitely sizing down.
Okay.
Definitely sizing down. What I see here is a pretty fair reflexive motion that gives us some room in the broad index, but a lot of price action, particularly, when we talk about the other software that we were looking at before, there's tons of stuff that is showing a sharper decline from May to September. So that's something sticky is building there. And so what I want to see is how deeply the hedges go into September. I want to see where they're sitting. And we got a lot of pressure building down here. 480, got 7,000 there already, 10,000 at 550. And this is all, I think these are folks that are just flat out hedging. This is obviously a spread, the 580 to 550. Mm-hmm. So that's a spread that's sitting there. And then, look at how far out of the money is for the put wall. 600 is this put wall. And so there's stuff cooking and it continues to grow. So we want to watch that very carefully.
Okay. And we'll be looking to try and perhaps even add if we get a dip that lines up with the seasonality that we expect, that should actually help us with some
and what's very important is that we are using big money is using the markets to get out on the big spikes.
Yeah.
That's what we want to watch, that exit liquidity, the blow off top that has a ton of people running for the exits, and then a loss of those prior big fat round numbers like 7,000, like 700 in SPY. And that might be a space to, find something super cheap that will still give us some room to run.
Can't wait to do that. I call that my birthday shopping. It's right around there. So we'll absolutely take a look for that. So, okay. Anne-Marie, really good stuff here today. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you on Friday next.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic.
All right. Take care.
Take care, Anne-Marie. We'll see you next time. Folks, that's going to do it here for us today. Really quickly, I did want to mention something here, though. We do have a webinar tonight. So those of you that have made it around till the end here, Tim Melvin and I are going to be doing a webinar tonight. We're going to be discussing energy stocks. So the best energy opportunities often show up before the headlines. Join me and Tim for a live Benzinga Pro walkthrough showing how we find energy names rising through key rankings and how they confirm which setups are worth acting on. This is a free webinar. Go ahead and scan that. And that'll do it here for today. So webinar with Tim Melvin a little bit later. We'll be back at this again tomorrow, folks. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.